is long overdue. I need to take this on with all of the fury of a storm and the intellect of a foolish man. I'm being facetious. I have been judged all my life. I was laughed at for my red hair, my thick Coke bottle glasses, even called Coke bottle, 4 eyes, telescope, fire crotch, fire hazard, copper top, Energizer Bunny because of my energy. My nickname, one of the places I worked was Speedball because I was so fast in everything I did. But I don't want to be moving around the kitchen here. Man, you got women that can do videos on YouTube in the shower, and they can be putting on their makeup or driving their car or even in some cases sitting on the toilet. So I guess that allows me to make my food. Pacific has been molded and scarred and affected by judging. There's a little trick I learned years ago, especially when I was in Hong Kong. And you wash your glasses and you have nothing to dry them off. You blow real hard and it blows the droplets off. It's great. I'm gonna cook me some eggs. I have an African-American friend who has chickens and roosters, and I buy from her farm fresh eggs, $2 a dozen for the brown ones. All I have to do is bring them home and wash them off. Very cool. Very, very cool. Let's face it, folks. You've all heard it. The most well-known Bible verse in all of America. It doesn't matter if you're an atheist, a Christian, a non-Christian, religious, Mormon, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness. I don't care who it is. Everybody in America can quote that verse. Judge not lest ye be judged. American women, favorite, most used line of expression. You can't judge me. Is that true? I'm going to unpack this misnomer and lie that has been circled the country again and again and again. I grew up with parents that adopted me. My mother was extremely judgmental. My mother is not a Christian. She's a Catholic. She's not a born-again, Bible-believing Christian. Believe me, I got Maersk cargo ship loads of judgment from that woman. My oldest sister, not blood related, is a Mormon. She judged me. They all have. I grew up in a family of women that were very judgmental. A grandma, an aunt whose husband divorced her. And all my life I had to hear about how bad he was. I'm a kid, I didn't even know what happened. All I know is when I saw Uncle, he was always nice. Hey, Pacific. He was a principal of a school in Fullerton, California. He was successful. He had a huge aquarium in the house. When I was a kid, a huge aquarium on the stand, you know. They were like the first of our family that had a microwave oven. I still don't know what he did. Because I grew up in a household dominated by females. I grew up with 3 sisters, no brothers. 4 dogs, 2 goats, 3 cats. We were raised with guinea pigs, hamsters, rabbits. I grew up in what I would call middle class America. I have nothing to do with any of that family save for my mother's sister's ex-husband, my uncle, and his son, my cousin. They're the only ones I keep in touch with. Judging was all I knew. Being judged was all that was modeled before me. American white women are the most, singularly, the most judgmental, critical of us men, of anybody in the universe. I have been more accepted by black females and Asian females than I have ever in my 57 years life by Caucasian American women. You get around Caucasian American women, one would get the impression that they're perfect, that they can do no wrong. 50% of all marriages end in divorce. It's always the man's fault. If you listen to women and the collective, only once in my 57 years did I ever meet a white lady with blonde hair, natural blonde, good-looking woman. She admitted, we're divorced. I said, why? She goes, because I fucked up. I cheated on him. I looked her in the eye. I said, you're the first woman I've ever heard of my race admit wrong. She goes, no, he was a good man. And I did a lot of traveling in my business, and yeah, I got all caught up with somebody and I was wrong. We're friends to this day. Note that, Caucasian woman. We're friends to this day. Most American women, when you go into the dating sites, I don't care what dating site it is, Plenty of Sharks, Craigslist, back in the day, Mate One, eHarmony, and Badoo, and on they go. You look at women, specifically Caucasian women, and what they put on a dating site, it's laughable, it's disturbing, it's appalling. The first thing you see is how narcissistic and selfish white women have become. It always starts with I want a man who makes this much money, drives this kind of car, wears these kind of clothes. He must be financially secure. You look to their portfolio pictures. And I'm going to be very judgmental. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because I can be, and I'm allowed to be. Okay? We're going to shred a lie of a misunderstanding of what the Bible teaches about judging. And the lie is this, that I don't have the right to judge because the Bible says, thou shalt not judge. But how many people read that entire verse and paragraph and context? I don't even have my Bible in front of me, and I'm going to unpack this right before you. I don't need a text, I don't need notes, and I don't need a script, because when you have been through what I've been through, and there's many of you men that have been through this, judged, alienated, rejected, passed by, laughed at, mocked, patronized, trivialized, marginalized by American women. You got videos and TV shows, and you've had decades of women dominating the scene saying that they don't have equality. What a lie. They not only have equality, they have domination. They can do whatever they want in the courts. They win in child support, child custody, alimony. More than men. Percentile-wise, our courts are clearly sexist in the United States. And not towards females. A British observer came to the U.S. and made an observation. That the courts favored women. That men get the short end of the stick in any legal dispute involving women. If you want to have fun, what I do is I do the eggs, where the yellow yolk shows. do the Italian herb. It's got its own little built-in grinder, some sea salt. Then I get this little simple thing. Some of this I learned living in Asia. With the expenses of things going up and up and up, it's getting expensive just to have a meal anymore. I go to the store yesterday and dropped $70 in groceries like it was nobody's business, and I bought 4 bags. Count them, 4 bags. This is a 100-year-old door that I just finished hanging the other day. I still have to trim it out. I have to work this. I've been stripping doors. This one I'm probably going to do a rough sand and paint, but that's a 100-year-old door. I got that and another one like this right here that I stripped completely, right down to the wood and sanded it where it's smooth. I'm going to put a clear water-based varnish. Once it dries, it's fine, but I don't use the varnish, the old sticky, fumey stuff. Got a 1950s door just like this 100-year-old door for $20. Yeah, I was one of those that'll dig out of a trash can if I found something of value. So, if you want to reduce things to a quick way of looking at things accurately, anytime somebody issues a statement, for example, you cannot judge. I don't know why women in America aren't smart enough to ascertain that you just made a judgment. You just said, you, meaning me, I cannot judge you. That's a judgment. That guy didn't use his turn signal. That's a judgment. That guy didn't pay his taxes. That's a judgment. The Democrats are losers. That's a judgment. Republicans are idiots. That's a judgment. Trump is an a-hole. That's a judgment. That dress is ugly. You just judged. That car looks gay. You just judged. How come Americans can't get this basic concept? When you yell at a child for doing something wrong, you just made a judgment. And when you hear women in this country say, and I've said this, no offense, women, but you tend to say a lot of dumb things. You got nice bodies, but you don't have a lot of this. And I'm going to say some things that are really inflame the hell out of women and light them up like a Christmas tree, but that's good. They need it. They've made us feel uncomfortable. They have caused a lot of damage to us men. So in a verbal fashion, I'm going to shred the hierarchical establishment of female idiocy, whereby they think that we're the dumb ones and they're the intellectual prowess of society. We're going to shred that today. I don't care if they went to college. I don't care if they got a degree. I don't care if they own a house. I don't care if they're the head of a CEO or the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I don't care. Doesn't mean anything to me. Women do not make good bosses or leaders, in my opinion, and I've had 57 years to watch this crap. There's a song, American Women, Get Away From Me. Judge not, lest ye be judged. How can you say to your brother, let me remove the splinter from your eye when there is a beam or a log in your own? You must first remove the beam from your eye so that you will clearly see. Pay attention to that. It does allow us to judge, doesn't it? So who is Jesus talking to? This is the Sermon on the Mount. What is it, Matthew 6 or 7? Judge not, verse 1, one of those. Who's he talking to? Lots of people. Sermon on the Mount. A lot of people listening. But a lot of his words, if you pay attention, were directed at the religious elite. Those guys over there, They thought that they were so holy. Master, they said that patronizingly, your disciples are eating grain with unwashed hands. Can you imagine Jesus if he was to talk in modern vernacular? OMG, really? Thank God he doesn't talk like American girls. I wouldn't follow him if he did. Women wear dumb shirts that say God is a woman. No, he's not. Next. Women say something because they're emotionally driven logic and because they feel something. That's it. That settles it. You can't argue. You can't tell them. I cry BS. Foul ball. Jesus is looking right at these religious leaders who are walking around looking at everybody. You're not as holy as us. Jesus looked at these religious leaders and says, when you give alms, when you give your contributions, stop blowing a trumpet in the streets. Do not let your left hand know what your right is doing. I mean, these guys, everything they did, they grandstanded. They disfigured their faces. They walked around beating on their back. I'm fasting. Just like that song by Britney Spears, Notice Me. The religious leaders were doing that. Just like the song by Blackpink, look at me, look at me, look at me now. Do you notice a correlation between the religious leaders and today's American women? They're the same. They're the same. They're the same. They're exactly the same. American women think that they're holy. They think that God's got their back if they believe in God at all. They think that they can do no wrong. If they hear my voice speak, they get irritated, agitated, and just, ah! I think the greatest punishment could be served American women is be forced to listen to Pacific Ocean's videos for X amount of time. And there will be a test at the end. I think it would be awesome. Do I think I'm perfect? Obviously not. If I thought I was, I wouldn't be a Christian. But American women, they think they're pretty perfect. I was looking at something I shouldn't have looked at because I'm a man. You ever heard of the site My Free Cams? There's actually something to be learned from that. Women taking off various and sundry clothing and making money for it. But if you're one of the cheapos like me, I just sit in and watch. And you can go from women from Russia to the Philippines to Japan to all over the world, and mostly American women, and they're some of the worst. They got that little thing in their vagina that jingles every time somebody donates. They got ugly panties, ugly stuff. Some of their boobs are squeezed together so hard it looks like reverse butt cheeks. And then they're sitting there doing stuff like this, and they're dishonoring themselves. They're discrediting themselves. And somebody on the other end is sitting there going, it's amazing what women will do for money. Then you see some. And I'm going to judge skinny, petite, slender women in this country, Asian, black, or white, Mexican, waste of time to pursue and date. I never thought I'd say this. I prefer slender and petite women, but mentally, they're a mind F-U-C-K. They're a mess. There's something in them like purebred dogs, finicky, fussy, moody, biatchy. My observations. I walked into Walmart yesterday, was talking to a friend and coworker, in fact, the lady I buy my eggs from. We're in the aisle of clothing, white girl, probably a teen, a bra top, and a throw-over flannel, belly all exposed, it looked like a bra. Her pants unbuttoned and unzipped all the way down to here. You can see her panties, and she's walking, and of course I looked. She's walking towards me, and I looked right at her. I'm like, dang. She looks at me, smiles, and tugs at her. Only in Walmart, right? She was a good-looking white girl. I looked at my friend and said, did you see that? She just looked at me without missing a beat. She goes, yeah, that's why we call this ghetto mart. They can just come in here and do whatever they want. And then a tween or teen guy and girl, preteen, walking in with a Pomeranian. I said, can they bring? She was, only if it's a service animal. I said, that Pomeranian ain't no service animal. Yeah, America's a trip. When women started wearing pajamas in public, I knew we were headed for the toilet. I was at the Duluth airport waiting to go back to Denver, Colorado. I was not doing well with my marriage at all, and I had taken a week sabbatical to get away from my wife. And in doing so, I went and saw my then friend, who is no longer my friend. I don't have best friends anymore. I have fans, I have friends, I have followers. I have people on social media that are probably the best friends I've ever had in my entire life. But as you go through life, as Pacific goes through life, I consider myself more like the Titanic. There was only one. That doesn't mean I think I'm perfect. It just simply means that the Titanic has a mystique all its own. The Titanic is in a class all its own. It was the first beautiful ship to sink on its maiden voyage. The Titanic is known by everybody, especially when the movie put it in the forefront back in the late 90s. It was a box office major grosser, one of the biggest grossing movies of all time at that time. Something like $200 million. It cost $10 million to build the Titanic. Did you hear that? American women sit on the toilet just like you do and fart. They got BO and smells that are hideous. The online world has become a temple for them. You see a lot of beautiful women on the internet, and then when they open their mouth, if you're thinking with this head and not the one between your legs, you suddenly go, oh my gosh, no. The beautiful body that they have doesn't line up with the immature irritatingness that dwells within. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, American women are not good for making love. They're good for sex. Once, and like a TV dinner, throw the container away. The fact that American women say do not judge, but they can judge that a life is not worth living and call it abortion and choice, they're guilty of murder. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter that they're fabled Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Have you ever taken a look at that woman in her face? She looked like somebody who really had joy, didn't she? In fact, while we're on the subject of judging, let's go the boot in even more. Democrat women, angry countenance. So I have a friend in Zambia, Africa, told me that Kamala Harris was going over there the other day and she was going to see her. And I said, I don't like her. She's evil. She says, don't judge. I said, I will judge. I said, her and President Biden are destroying this country. What do you mean? Honey, you don't live over here. You have no idea what these clowns are doing. Notice Kamala Harris. She's India and African. But the media has played up her blackness, ignored her Indianness. She's not going to go to India. She's playing the race card. The media is playing the race card for her. She hated Biden. Biden pulled her in. She doesn't love him anymore. She was chosen because of the color of her skin, not the content of her character. That's a fact. Biden put her in there to bring a black person in there to secure the black community. Kamala Harris is not a great orator. Look at when she speaks on anything. Pacific Ocean tsunami is deeper than she is. She went to college. She ran around in a whole different world than I did. Dumb as a stump. But women say, you can't judge me. You want to bet? I have. I've done it, and I will continue to do so. Because you same hypocritical women are very quick to always judge us men. Always. Wrangler Star is a YouTube contributor. He has some good content. I believe he's out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Or excuse me, Jackson, Wyoming. Level-headed, feet on the ground guy. He said a man only has worth in this society based on his level of producing. You notice how women can just get up in the morning and walk out to the store in pajamas? Let me walk out just even now. This shirt, guys, girls will laugh. If I go to the store in my pajamas, girls are going to go. Just my freak hams and all the sites where you can watch and view women disrobing. It's like you had nothing to do with that body. God gave it to you, and you're showing it off and thinking you're all that on a stick. You didn't create that body. But I've watched people for so long, and guess what I've noticed? Sometimes a woman who's a little bit thicker, and when I say thicker, I'm not talking disgusting obesity. Notice that women today are encouraging and coddling that. And then they tell us we can't judge. Then you got those same kind of women in the church that are 350 pounds that judge us men with this. Well, God looks at the heart. And he sees the heart of your gluttony. He sees the heart of your laziness and slothfulness that you can't take care of the temple that he gave you. And now you want to fire back at me and all the other men that pass you by. You don't want us anyway, but we pass you by because I don't like cellulite and ripples and, pulling up stomach with creases underneath. And I'm just not into that. That's a consequence of the lifestyle that you chose to live. I cook my eggs by those little minute rice cups, 40 seconds in the microwave. Put the eggs on it, kind of like what they did in Asia. And yes, it's not a myth. Farm fresh eggs taste different than the ones you get in the store. I knew it the first day I tried them. I support my friend, especially when the eggs were going up to $4 or $5 a dozen. She was still selling them me for $2. I told other people at work, I've got a friend right now, white lady said, can you get me 2 dozen, please? That's how a cottage industry starts. texted her a week ago. I said, can I get from you 2 dozen eggs? She goes, yes. I said, I need to support my local chicks. She responded with the laughter. The Bible does not tell us we cannot judge. It does not say that at all. But women, not being the deep people that they want us to believe that they are, they see, judge not, and they stop right there. That's what women do all the time. Look at Eve in the garden. The serpent, the devil through the serpent comes up to Eve and says, eat this. She goes, oh, no. We're not supposed to. And she answers the question with, we're not supposed to eat it or touch it. Women always add to stuff, exaggerate. My mother used to do that. Blow things out of proportion, add filler and stuff. I'm like, that is not even what happened. Women, from the beginning, added to God's word. She blamed it on the devil. Adam blamed it on the woman. Not one of them looked God in the eye and said, yeah, I ate of it. I blew it. And therein lies the struggle to this day. But you got women today thinking they're better than men. If you don't believe me, go through the streets of America. Watch them. Go wherever you go. Not only are they emotionally driven logic, but they think that they're better. They judge us for how we dress, for how much money we have or don't have, by the car we drive. Years ago, I was on a school bus in Colorado. A student asked me if he could borrow the phone because he had to prove to his mother he was on the bus because his mother thought he was skipping school. I had my flip phone. Man, you got a flip phone? What are you going to get for 21st century? I said, man, when are you going to get a phone? And he looks at me and goes, okay. We're judged in this country by the phone we have. Is that even right? Is that even biblical? Took an African-American lady to lunch yesterday, a friend of mine. Today's her birthday. We went to Applebee's. We had a nice conversation, nice time. It's nice when you can be friends with a lady and you don't have all these hormones and crap in the way. We work together. We talk about the crap at work, and she came over. We sat in the house and talked. I showed her my handiwork. In the last weekend, I've had 5 people come through wanting to see what I've done, and the word's going out. This guy's in the wrong job. He needs to be doing house remodel. But no. When you make a factory out of something, it no longer becomes fun. When Jesus was talking to the religious leaders, they were extremely judgmental. They picked and chopped at the disciples, picked and chopped at Jesus constantly. They were fools. They thought they had this thing going on with God, and God looked them right in the eye and called them something. Hypocrites. Please note, he never calls the saints of God hypocrites. He calls unsaved, secular people hypocrites. Go to 1 Corinthians where Christians were suing each other in Corinth. And what does Paul say to them? Why are you taking this crap in front of the ungodly? Can't you judge you among yourselves? Can't you appoint in the church people of sound mind to settle these disputes? Why are you dragging the stuff in the Christian church out there in the eyes of the world? Know ye not that we shall judge the angels? Oh, judge not, lest you be. I stopped about, how am I going to judge the angels? I don't even know what they're doing. Because at a point in time, God's going to show us what angels did in my life. But American women seem to think they're the only ones qualified to judge. They do it all day long. All day long. They say, well, I'm not judgmental. Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Let me say that I don't believe in spherical heating. What? Oh, my God. Oh, you're one of those. You just judged me, didn't you? You voted for Trump? Oh, you're terrible. You're the devil. So, when Jesus says to remove the beam, what is he saying? He's looking at these lost souls that claim to represent Judaism, dead in the face, and saying, you don't even know who I am. Because if you knew who I am, you wouldn't be saying the kind of things you're saying. You need to be born again. You need to believe that I am dying in your place for your sins on the cross because you're not perfect. You can't follow the law. Nobody can. When you become a saved Christian, you have something called discernment. Now, when you become a Christian, you have to grow. I've said it for years. Many diapered saints out there, meaning infants, babies in the faith, they're all around. They're all around. America is full of baby, immature, emotionally driven logic Christians. Don't believe me? Look at the silly, trite, crappy, cheese whiz music in today's contemporary churches. Blended worship. The same 7-11 chorus, sing the same 7 words 11 times. No depth, and you watch white women who have no emotional expression, and they're all suddenly now they're going to come out. There's no passion. It's the market-driven industry that's crashed into the church. Even when the pastor says, say after me, say with me, church, can I have an amen? I don't respond. I've learned I respond when I want to respond. When you're a pastor, it's not your job to control all of us. It's your job to feed the flock. If I feel like you're on point, I'm going to say, preach. Yes. Amen. Say it again. But I tend to be quiet in church. I'm not quiet on social media because I don't want to draw attention to myself. Because when you're in a church, it's not about me. It's supposed to be about he. But look at Christians that are prospering off of their foolish stuff. Beth Moore. Did Beth Moore say anything about the Catholic man who was protesting an abortion clinic? His son got shoved around by an adult, underage son, and he went to stop the guy. He was later arrested by a SWAT team surrounding his house. Where was Beth Moore? Where was the evangelical church? I said this before, and it's happening right as we see it. Comfortable Christians, snow globe Christians, they're not changing the world. They're worried about their income, their little mansions, their Pier 1 imports, their SUVs, their doggy, their Starbucks. And then they're marketing their crap. Beth Moore seminars, extremely expensive. And Beth Moore, does she show herself to be a passionate, out of the box? Well, nope. Cookie cutter, dyed the hair blonde. Same gacky hairstyle, gacky clothes that she paid too much money for. And this is where America keeps mass producing this. And then you get a guy like me, who all my life has been judged, expelled, and excommunicated and ignored and shunned by all these cultures in America that have the mentality, if you don't get on board their bus, there's something wrong with you. For me as a Christian to criticize name brand household Christian names in this country, like Charles Stanley, who makes a salary of $250,000 a year, my question is, why? Now, I don't call myself legalistic, but that guy is globe-trotting around the world. His In Touch magazine is adorned with photos from Iceland to all over the world, and he has his own Christian cruises. Does he make them available to low-income Black and Hispanic and inner-city Christians? Of course not. It's a snow globe culture. His church ministers to snow globe people, and the ministering that they're doing isn't causing them to have any sway with the working class, blue-collar people of America. We're sick of it. We're sick and tired of going into churches with gay PowerPoint presentations and clip art stuff and get involved in pickleball or Awana or whatever. And it's like, okay, I don't have kids. I'm not into pickleball and I'm not married. What does the church have for Pacific? Not a damn thing. I'm just supposed to come and listen to Charlie Brown's teacher get up in front of the church and go, wah, 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 wah. Now we'll sing 3 songs, give some announcements, wah, wah, wah. Hi, Pacific, glad you come today. Good to see you, brother. That's it. There's no connection. But now we have PowerPoint presentations showing a plug. Get connected in one of our small groups. No thanks. I don't have an SUV. I don't have a fancy home. I don't have Pier 1 imports in it. I'm not polished and smooth. I'm not going. Me, I'm like this. Now, this is not the greatest illustration, but that's like your modern 2x4. Pretty smooth. This is me. You slide your hands on me, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get splinters. I'm a rough cut piece of lumber, and God's not done with me. And if you want to follow Beth Moore and that polished candy apple crowd, goo gobs of foundation and makeup and ugly gacky clothing that they think is so cute, and you want to listen to their bullshit, go ahead. Those women that attend and get behind Beth Moore would hear me say this and think that I was the devil incarnate. Because I cuss, for one thing. None of those women that follow the Beth Moore crowd have ever been where I am. None of them. And where is the evangelical community? I don't support Catholicism, but that was an attack on a Christian. Did you see the white woman in the UK? Did anybody follow that? Now I have my issues about Caucasian women, but I'm going to defend a white woman when she's right. And a white woman was quietly standing across the street from an abortion clinic in the UK. Wasn't doing a thing, holding no signs. The police came up and basically placed her under arrest. Oh, so when did it become wrong for her to stand there and quietly inside herself pray? That is a woman that every one of us men should defend and get behind. But instead, we chase these dumb, silly TikTok queens that have no bra and jumping up and down, getting millions of views and thinking they're the only one that has tits in a population of 7 billion people. Beth Moore and the Christian church in America is not reaching this culture at all. It's enabling baby boomer and the fallout on down that are into snow globe culture. A lot of evangelicalism caters to middle-class Americans, and a lot of their teaching reflects that. A lot of their behavior in the church is when a guy like me walks in with my 3-pound chain necklace, I don't disrupt or cause a problem. I don't have BO, but I don't wear a suit and tie. And I'm going to say it again. I have had more damage and more hatred and more stuff done to me by people that dress professionally in the church and out of the church. And in American culture, those with college degrees, suits, and ties have screwed the pooch more than people like me that don't have social grace, as I was accused of by a couple that I worked for that had a business that designed and equipped convenience stores. I worked for them 3 months and I couldn't wait to get out of that building. So listen to these two women brag about their fifth wheel and their house in Highlands Ranch and their 5-star dinners. And one day I said, man, I'm so tired of hearing that. And he got offended. I didn't fit. I went back to school bus driving for Denver Public Schools, said, man, I'm not doing this anymore. I hate and despise the corporate world and the corporate mindset. But I watched these two, the boss and his wife. She had a problem with my voice. They had me answer the phone. His own clientele said, I don't know who you got answering the phone, but he sounds like a radio announcer, very professional. I like the guy. His wife would be in her office. How do you have such a voice of authority? I have no idea. Because they look at me. When people interact with me on the phone, I get a lot more respect. And the minute those people meet me in public, I'll walk into a business to somebody I just spoke to. Can I help you? Yeah, I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm the one that, Pacific, I'm the one that called you. Oh. Yeah, the voice didn't line up with the looks. Because you had a preconceived idea that I got a power suit and tie on. And I'm going to say it again, folks. All you people that think you don't have anything in this society, I have a friend who was a Walmart greeter for years. And I know for a fact there's people in this beautiful country called America that look down on that. I don't. I said, you got a damn job and you're earning your money. To hell with everybody else. And you got Christians like Beth Moore and others fleecing the flock, living their best lives now, Joel Osteen and Joyce Myers, who disobeys Scripture. Yeah, I'm going to judge her. You can't judge a minister of God. You want to make a bet? I have, I will, and I will continue to do so. Test the spirits to see whether they be of God or not. Okay, ladies, let me give you a basic elementary education, my dear Watsons. Test the spirits and see whether they be of God or not. Is that not a call to judging? Yeah, it is. I mean, if you don't understand grammatical context, I'll break it down for you. Several times it says, judge ye among yourselves. For if we will judge ourselves, find men in the church that can handle these disputes. Do not take it before the courts of the ungodly. Years ago, and I'm going to name the church, Crossroads in Denver. It is splintered and fallen apart. Years ago, the last I heard, the guy that started it was a guy that started in his garage. Kind of like the whole Calvary Chapel thing. They don't want formalism. They don't want the Baptist. They don't want the big stone edifices. Okay. And I used to be caught up in all that too. But Calvary Chapel and all these contemporary movements are like the tide of the ocean. 1 minute's in, 1 minute's out. And I've got my problems with the stalwarts as well. You go to a Baptist church, you're going to get good theological foundation and underpinnings, but you're not going to get passion. You're not going to get a lot of love. You're not going to get a lot of expression. You're going to get a lot of podunk, rote, ritualism. Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you. The fake voice from men, the child-directed speech from women. Let's get everybody to come to church so they can hear the gospel. Put on the brakes. The church should be getting the gospel out. Why are we asking non-Christians to come in here? So the pastor can do the job we're supposed to do. The pastor is supposed to feed and equip the saints. And what have I said for years? How many pastors confront the sins of American females in the church today? That's my experience in 57 years. They'll talk about men and masturbation and pornography and lust. And whenever a man has an affair, man, you think he just kissed the devil. But when a woman has the affair, we don't really talk about it. Nobody stopped and asked, why are so many men cheating on their wives? Well, because they looked at porn. Why were they looking at porn? Because their wife is a bitch? If I was married to Beth Moore, I'd probably masturbate to porn too. If I was married to half of the Christian women in any Christian church, I'd probably be looking at porn. Just because a person comes to Jesus Christ does not mean that they grow and mature. What happens in our culture is factory style production. Okay. You go to church. Oh, do you believe this? Do you believe the pre-tribulational rapture? Do you believe in dispensationalism? Do you believe in the 5 points of Calvinism? Do you believe in this? No, I don't believe in Calvinism. What? No. What's Calvinism? It's that stupid demonic doctrine that, well, here's my allopurinol, and here's my zinc tablet. Okay, allopurinol is for gout, so I don't have those gout attacks. God chooses this person to be saved and enjoy the blessings of God. And he predestines this one to go to hell and be outside of that. Never mind the fact that the scripture says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth. Well, whosoever is the elect. Where does it say that? Predestined is mentioned what? For one that I know of, and I think 2 times in the Bible. For those he foreknew, he predestined to be conformed to the image of his son. And guess what? John Calvin built an entire universe off a verse ripped out of context. Who are those that God foreknew? Those that would trust him. Those that trust him, he predestines them to be conformed to the image of God. But that can only happen when you become a Christian. He doesn't use the word predestined before foreknew. Pay attention to that. And Americans who pride themselves in proper English and proper typing skills, when it comes to the Bible, they put their head in the sand like a dang ostrich and ignore all grammatical context. John Calvin was a Protestant pope, had people killed that disagreed with him. He created a pernicious doctrine. And if you want to know how to tell when a doctrine is wrong, just go to church and see how many times they harp on something and got to push, and ignore everything else in the Word of God. Those who believe you can lose your salvation. Those who believe that King James Bible is the only reliable Bible. Those that believe you ought to speak in tongues. Those that don't believe in proper biblical eschatology, which is end time events. Meaning, Christians teach this lie that God's going to rapture them out. Christians teach this lie. Revelation 3 teaches it. Why is it called the time of Jacob's trouble? Why is God going to take the bride of Christ through the tribulation when he has that parentheses in AD 70 when Jesus was cut off? The parentheses began. God then shifted his focus off Israel and went to the Gentiles. And Paul even says the branches were broken off that you may be grafted in, Gentiles. Don't boast against the branches. My prayer is that Israel would be saved. Even wished himself accursed and cut off. So, is God done with Israel? No, and there's Christians that teach that lie too. I'm throwing a lot of stuff out here. Because the minute you say that's an ugly car, you just made a judgment. Okay? As Christians, we need to judge. I'm judged all the time. And after years and years of trying so hard to win the approval of my mother and pastors and religious people and Christians, I finally said, fuck it. Now I'm honest. And that honesty causes a problem too. The church doesn't like it. If I say something like, I think it's hot to see 2 women undo each other's shirts and bras and kiss and lick each other's nipples, they go, oh my gosh, that is so unchristian. Okay, it's not right, but does that mean I'm not a Christian? No, it doesn't. How about if you ask where I've been? How about if you ask the road I've traveled? when women ignore me and won't date me, and not just me, lots of other men, but those slender women are now getting frisky with each other. It's eros, man. It's sin, but it's appealing because they're not going to do that with me. And what the Christians don't bother to teach in the church is they want to slam down scripture and say, well, you're in Christ and you need to put to death, therefore, the sin in your body. Look, I see suits and ties at the current church I go to now. And I'm going to tell you something. They're not passionate. They look down their nose at me. They don't give me the time of day. I don't get close to anybody. I stopped doing that years ago. I go to church to hear the word and I walk right out, get my truck and leave. If somebody says hi, I say hi. I don't go out of my way to greet people. There's no point in it. There's no point in me investing in a bunch of people playing let's make believe on Sunday morning. We're going to spend 3 hours in front of a mirror, getting all the right clothing on and all the right, and walk out of our car. How you doing? I'm doing well. Fuck that. I'm not always doing well. I don't want to be around people that are faking it to make it. And the church has lost something in this culture. They long ago left D.L. Moody and Wesley and Ironsides and the greats, the Whitefields and Jonathan Edwards. That era is gone. And we hear these people talking about the recycled revival. We don't have a revival going on at all. We see a watered down, insipid gospel where they came out with Christian rock in the 70s and 80s, where Christians in the church got to do exactly what the world does. It is rare to find in this church an old-fashioned creaky floorboard with old hard oak pews and a pulpit and a fan running without the AC and all the accoutrements and all the speakers and an old-fashioned preacher who looks out and says, folks, what are you after? All I want is you, these Christian white women sing. All right, let's take away your dog, your SUV, your comfortable lifestyle. Let's see if that's true. America has a form of godliness, but denies the power thereof. And those same would judge the hell out of me, and they have, and they will, even when I try to do things right. When the church didn't believe I should get married to my first wife because the father was manipulating it. When I chose to divorce her a year and a half later, that same church turned around and said, divorce is not okay. God hates divorce. Can I say something that's not very nice here? At that point, you just want to say, fuck you. Now you want to judge me that was manipulated, and I finally made a damn decision on my own to get the hell out of there because I was still young. And now you're all going to, you can't marry anymore. Didn't have biblical grounds. Bye, Felicia. I'm going to let God tell me whether I have any worth, not you. Churches that judged me in Colorado, you're divorced, you can't be in the ministry. I quit going to the church. Not because of that, but because there was a lot of staff that were Bob Jones graduates extremely judgmental. And an object lesson played out when I took my son to a Christian school that was an offshoot of that church, attached to that church. And a woman with a low-cut top, side boob, she was gorgeous, says, you know what? I was married to a wife who, sucked. My marriage was crumbling all around me. 14 years, it started the first week after I married her. I tried to save face and do the Christian thing, the right thing. And it dawned on me, my heart is not in this. Now watch this sleight of hand that goes on. King David sinned with Bathsheba. He was walking around on his palace, saw this chick bathing, and she probably knew exactly what she was doing. She knew that David could see her. Bring that woman to me. Then she gets pregnant. Then he lines up to have Uriah killed, who was faithful to David, faithful to the army of Israel, and David just has him killed. And Nathan has to come and say, you are the one. Listen to American comfortable Christian women today. Oh, Harold had an affair on his wife. That is so terrible. David was a man after God's own heart, and I want to be like that. You bitches are so fucking bipolar, it's not even funny. Why am I going to listen to Christian women in a Christian church today that have no passion, that all they do is have sex, they don't know how to make love because they're full of their own self-righteousness, they're materialistic narcissists that sprinkle a little jar of religion all over their head and some Bible verses and got their big Bibles with their big quilted Southern Bible covers and all their highlighters furiously underlining everything. I don't see any change in them that makes me desire God anymore. I just look at them and go, you're all a bunch of fakes. Y'all know the story of Gypsy. We'll not belabor that. A woman who judged the hell out of me said, I'm closer to the Apostle Paul than you are. You're the one that sent me pictures with no shirt on, so you could show how long your hair was. Would your pastor endorse that? You know what's funny? If I was to call that pastor and tell him, if I knew who he was, he probably wouldn't have said a word to her. The men in today's churches are simps. They marry boring, passionless, mousy wives or feminist wives. In fact, the church I went to in Colorado, Wheat Ridge, was very legalistic. The pastor's wife looked like a butch dyke lesbian, the short hair, man features. I remember sitting there going, boy, there has to be some fun bedroom stuff in there. Could not. Am I judgmental? Yes, because if a child lives with criticism, and that goes for the church, if the church is always criticizing everybody, oh, they're listening to Christian rock music, they're playing video games. Okay, wait a minute. Video games isn't bad in of itself. It's that violent stuff where heads are being blown off and blood's flowing. I got a problem with that. I want to get something. I want to do something because it needs to be done. I was supposed to be doing work today, but I'm lazy on my holiday. I remember going through in the 80s that whole hamster Olympics when I became a Christian that I was supposed to get rid of all my Christian music. And I won't belabor you with that. I talked about that the other day. I don't remember if it was on Facebook or YouTube, but I want to know why. Father, I put my life in your hands. John Michael Talbot lyrics. Father, I put my life in your hands. Repeat. In you, O Lord, I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Into your hands I commend my spirit. You will redeem me, faithful God. Father, I put my life in your hands, for all my foes reproach me. Neighbors laugh and friends stand off. I am forgotten like dead unremembered. I am like a dish cast down. Father, I put my life in your hands, but my trust is in you, O Lord. I say you are my God. Into your hands I place my future. From the clutch of foes you rescue me. Father, I put my life in your hands. Let your face shine on your servant. Oh, save me in your love. Be stout-hearted and come, take courage, all you who know hope in the Lord. Father, I put my life in your hands. John Michael Talbot is Catholic. I do not endorse Catholicism. John Michael Talbot is the first and one of the few and the only people I know that knows true worshipful music taken right out of the Psalms. Now let's go to Come Jesus Come lyrics. Are you ready for this? Come on now. Oh, that's the wrong song. My bad. Come, now is the time to worship lyrics. Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come. One day every tongue will confess you are God. One day every knee will bow. Still the greatest treasure remains for those who gladly choose you now. Okay. Does anybody remember in the 80s when you had Vineyard, Calvary Chapel, Hillsong? I mean, no offense, but anything that the white chicks come up with in Christian music today is a pretty good rule of thumb to avoid. I mean, I grew up, when I got saved, Amy Grant was just, you want to talk about an example when I talked about my YouTube videos. Amy Grant was a case in point study of the narcissist, privileged, materialistic, very into herself woman. Now, I liked 1974. I liked the song by Amy Grant. But I didn't like it because it was so God glorifying. 1974 by Amy Grant lyrics. It was actually about her testimony. We were young and none of us knew quite what to say, but the feeling moved among us in silence anyway. Slowly we had made quite a change. Somewhere we had crossed a big line. Down upon our knees we had tasted holy wine. And no one could sway us in a lifetime. Peered in the sky behind the rain, falling down all around us, calling out from a boundless love. Love had lit a fire, we were the flame, burning into the darkness, shining out from behind us, not a word, and no one had to say we were changed. Nothing else we lived through would ever be the same, knowing the truth that we had gained, peered in the sky behind the rain, falling down all around us, calling out from a boundless love. Love had lit a fire, we were the flame, burning into the darkness, shining out from inside us. Amy Grant did a quality job with that. She did a song, My Father's Eyes. She had her Straight Ahead album. Good stuff. Some of the music was a little hokey. But 1974 resonated with me. I'd moved to Duluth. I liked the music. I bought the cassette tape from a friend of mine in Duluth, and I'd sit down by Lake Superior and play this. I sat on a boulder out in the lake on those beautiful summer days, and I had gotten free from my family. I had launched my own ship and moved far away from Arizona to Duluth. And one day as I was walking from the Plasma Center up on 3rd Street, I'm walking by this beautiful red stone church from the turn of the century, and I'm looking out, and there's white caps on the lake. It's a July day, and the wind is blowing that nice cold air. Even though it's hot, the cold air is hitting me, and I was just hit. Pacific. You're a ship out on the sea now. You left the tether of what was familiar, and now you're in the water. I love Duluth. Then. 1974 connected with me. Amy Grant was talking about getting saved. She had some depth to her. She was the darling child of the Christian music industry. Then she went from that to now you don't hear anything, and nobody really cares. You get all these damn fans under you, and what are you doing for them? Nothing. You're charging them. You're making money, and everybody idolizes the hell out of you. And then her husband, Chapman, he's into drugs, and they divorced, and she's flirting with Vince Gill, leaned over a rock with her tits pointed to the heavens, and he's lusting over her. And you look at the Beth Moore type of people in the Southern Christians. I'm in the South. Folks, let me tell you, Southern Christian women are to be avoided. I'd rather look at Northern Christian women because they have a little more, less of that plastique. The church is guilty of the same thing that we see going on in the world. Oh, do you watch Netflix? Oh, did you buy an SUV? Oh, do you have a dog? Do you baby talk your dog? No, I don't do any of those. Wow, what's wrong with you? You're weird. That same mantra is in the church. Oh, I love Hillsong. It's really anointed. No, it isn't. Music has taken a huge dive into the toilet in all levels, but especially the Christian church. Prove my point. Are you supposed to come just as you are to God? The Bible says if you have a sin against your brother, have something against your brother, you lay your gift at the altar, go be reconciled to your brother, and then come back. You cannot come before God and worship with unconfessed sin in your life. That's what it says. I'm just telling you. A mighty fortress is our God. Lyrics. I understand people that are listening to my videos may have never heard some of this music, may not even know what I'm talking about. I realize there's people my age who go, Mike, I don't like the music you like. I got you. But I'm still making a point. Whether you agree with it or not, I still believe it's true. Let's see if we can get this to pull up. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing, our helper he amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still our ancient foe doth seek to work us woe. His craft and power are great and armed with cruel hate. On earth is not his equal. Did we in our own strength confide? Man, if I was to unpack this piece by piece today, there is no Christian music out there today that even touches on any of this. This is loaded with stuff that ought to be an encouragement for us. Martin Luther King, he felt the presence of God. He had read the book of Romans. He left the Catholic thinking and said, it is by grace. We can't earn God's favor. And when he nailed his 95 Thesis to the church doors in Wittenberg, this is something young people aren't getting exposed to today. He said, by grace. Now, he brought a lot of his Catholic trappings with him, which dominate the Lutheran Church. But the Lutheran Church, they used to have a radio program called Davy and Goliath. And it was pointing to the gospel of Christ. And Martin Luther King felt the presence of Satan. He picked up his inkwell and threw it against the wall, and it broke, and the ink went down the wall. They claim that ink is still on the wall at his house, which is a museum down there in Germany. Did we in our own strength confide? Look at women today. Look at them on TikTok. Look at my boobs. Look at my nipples. Look at Christian women. Beth Moore, Beth Moore, Beth Moore, Beth Moore. Oh, you got to hear Beth Moore. Women of faith, women of faith. It's always, it's all there. There's no glory being directed towards God. It's, you got to hear her. You got to go to her seminar. I do. Why do I got to pay for it if she's telling me truth? Truth is free. And I'm going to tell you something. If people are charging you for truth, get on out of there. It's a scam. You can read the Bible and you can access books yourself. And if you need help, I'll direct you because I've been through this. I give you proper study tools to show you what to do. Don't read Beth Moore. Don't read Joyce Myers. Don't read any of these women out there. What you ought to read is Johnny Erickson Tata's book. She slams to the ground that false notion of the name it and claim it faith healers. She got paralyzed in a diving accident in a lake, hit her head on a rock, paralyzed herself, whatever. All her friends deserted her, and a boyfriend that had a crush on her came back trying to tell her, if you just believe, you can be healed. For a moment, Johnny started to say, okay, God, you suck. Until somebody somebody and God and others steered her back to biblical truth. That woman is being used more in a wheelchair than I am on two legs. And I'm sorry, but Johnny is not about herself. And a man married her. A two-legged, walking, working man fell in love with her and married her. That right there is volumes. Because I don't think I could marry somebody confined to a wheelchair. I'm very sexual. I want a woman with my energy. But God bless that man. Talk about unconditional love. Johnny's being used by God more than I am, more than these preachers in the pulpits, to handicap people who are largely tolerated, put up with, branded. Did we in our own strength confide? Our striving would be losing. We're not the right man on our side, a man of God's own choosing. You ask who that may be. Christ Jesus, it is he. Lord Sabaoth, his name, from age to age the same, and he must win the battle. And though this world with devils filled should threaten to undo us, we will not fear, for God has willed his truth to triumph through us. The prince of darkness grim, we tremble not for him. His rage we can endure, for lo, his doom is sure. One little word shall fell him. That word above all earthly powers, no thanks to them abideth. The spirit and the gifts are ours through him who with us sideth. Let goods, women, pay attention to today's evangelical, insipid, whatever you want to call it, churchianity. Let goods and kindred go. This mortal life also, the body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. His kingdom is forever. So all these little nitwits that came out with CCM and said, the old hymns, they're stuffy. You don't have any lyrical content that even touches that. You got all this Nashville cheese whiz in a can, Christian music. They all sound the same. The guy's good gay with the gel in the hair. That is representative of Christianity? Or is it representative of some market-driven, secularized, repackaged stuff with Jesus words on it? Yeah, that one right there, that's it. Anybody remember the TV show BJ and the Bear? Love that show because I was all into trucks back in the day. Still am into trucks. That was the guy that played BJ. He had the long hair. Okay. I'm going to do something here. Now I want you to see him today. I'm not gay, but he looked better as the truck in the show than he does today. The gelled hair, the Fu Manchu, all that. He doesn't look anything like. There was another picture I saw where he looked gayish with this world is transforming us and conforming us to their ways. And I'm going to tell you something. I am not the most spotless Christian out there. I don't walk so tight that my shoes squeak. I've got a lot of filth in me that God is still not done with me yet. But I'm going to tell you something. You're going to get more out of the stuff on my videos than you ever will in a Beth Moore conference that you can take to the bank. And if you don't believe our society's upside down, look at all the flaky, makeup-caked women that follow that around. How'd you like to be the husband of those women? You know, spending hours in a store deciding which purse to buy, more pancake makeup, more clothes, layers of clothes, and ugly outfits, and they still sweat and smell in them, and their bra's got sweat in it. And, you know, just a little perspective here. You know, they're all in this trip of some religious euphoria of, we're going to get closer to God. Go ahead. I'm not going with you because whatever fumes you're riding, I think I'll go to Martin Luther. Though our ancient foe doth seek to work us woe, his craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate. That stuff has crept into the church. Why am I judging these women? Because if I was to adorn my presence, adorn their assemblies with my presence, they would all be looking at me going, what is he doing in here? Why has he got a chain around his neck? How come his hair isn't cut? Good Southern Christian boys cut their hair. Yeah. And good Christian men don't listen to people like Beth Moore. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over men. Do you know what women were made for? You want to watch me light a match right now? They weren't made for themselves. They don't have the right to make a choice to kill their baby, not by God. They don't have a right to live solely for themselves. That is not what they were made for. God told Adam, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. Look at women today and tell me how they're helping us men. They have walked away from, including in the church, their mission directed by God. They want to be career women. They want to throw their kids into daycare. They want an SUV. They want a $500,000 house. Look at what the society's doing. Go to Denver, Colorado. Go to outlying areas in Colorado. Sun-bleached, pine board fences all over the place. Ugly cookie cutter houses. I read an article today that says, how come all the Boulder college girls dress the same? Because Boulder's a bunch of flakes. That's why. There's no substance to Colorado women. I've said that for years. But the more I get out into this country, and I've crossed from one end to the other, north to south, guess what? They're all the same. We see a cute girl, the minute she opens her voice, she's got that jaded crustiness. She went through a bad relationship, and she talks to you in that edge. Yeah, you know what? In the Christian church, it's like Ready Whip in a can or Cheese Whiz. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't go and get any sustenance from that. And I'm going to tell you, man, if you are like me, you're going to be categorically rejected by those kind of women. Those are ones in the big poofy pillows and bedding that weighs 10 tons with poofy comforters and poofy drapes. You know what? My living room, I did a wall of paneling and I did a dark stain. We men need to own our manhood. And if women don't like it, walk away. And that goes for women in the church. I'm the head of my house. And if a woman's not going to submit to that, get out of my home. Get away from me. Go ahead and judge the hell out of me because you will. So don't tell me that I can't judge you. I have, I will, and I will continue to do so, especially when I see you departing away from true biblical directives and you want to talk about me and my issues. Not one of these women in Christendom in America will get to know me at all. They will not do it. They'll judge the hell out of me. I'm divorced 3 times, Beth Moore, and all you silly women of faith. And you can brag that you've been married faithfully for 25 years. Let me meet your husband. I'll tell you what he's all about. You rule the roost. He has no passion. Look, as a Christian, I've experimented and done things that I shouldn't do, but they were already in me. And the Christian church does a great disservice when you become a Christian. No, you got to stop this, got to stop this, got to stop this, got to stop this. And they put all these prohibitions out there instead of saying, Michael, you became a Christian. You're still going to struggle. In fact, it's going to get more intense. You're going to be made aware of sin you never realized you were doing. You're going to be just like the Apostle Paul said, I do the things I do not want to do, and what I want to do, I do not end up doing, but the evil that I hate, I end up doing. And Christians and Bible expositors try to preach all this, explain all that away. Well, that was Paul before he was a Christian. Before he's a Christian, Paul didn't have that struggle, dum-dum. I didn't have that struggle before I was a Christian. Didn't even enter my mind. When you become a Christian, then you have the struggle because you realize this is wrong, so you feel the guilt, and you go through this mental masturbation problem all your Christian life. And to go to a church in Lakewood, Colorado, one of those Calvary Chapel offshoots that says, well, fake it until you make it, that coming from the pastor, I'm sitting in there going, America is all fake. Look at the commercials. Bling, 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 bling. At Safeway, you can get chips for just $2.99. Pick up your charcoal briquettes, and it's some nasally white woman. Why do they play baby music for me? I'm a grown man. Why is it when I go to church, and there was even a YouTube video about this, why men don't want to go to church? When you got women, white women who have no passion, and I'm going to say it, they generally don't. I mean, it's a big deal when a woman puts her arms up in church. That's all showtime. And you got to sing songs that are girl songs. I love you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. What man? I'm not doing that. I have a hard time. I'm not going to look at a man and say, oh, I love you, George. Oh, George. That's gay. And I'm not doing it to Jesus. It's hard for us men to do that. Jesus does not expect us to be faggy in our approach to him. And I don't think Jesus wants to hear us say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus all day long. But I'm a man and I'll admit something. I like the old hymns. There's within my heart a melody. Jesus whispers sweet and low. Fear not, I am with thee, peace be still. In all of life's ebb and flow. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know. And something that'll send tingles down my spine is when the men and the women come in and there's the echo. Oh my gosh, now that is awesome. But we don't do that anymore. Come. Now is the time to come. Really? Really? That our music went from the great heights to baby pablum? And these women think that they're having an experience with God? And if you listen to these white women who have no expression in the bedroom, that all they do is go to the malls and the shopping centers, Christians too, and buy, as for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. Boring artwork. Serve the Lord or yourself? The latter. Who wants to be around that? Well, apparently a lot of dumb men do. And then you got men on the back of their pickup trucks promoting the princess mentality with their spoiled daughters. And they make comments like, any man, tries to date my daughter. Oh, now you're going to make her a narcissist even more. Christians, you should be teaching your daughters, you're not a princess, you're my daughter. Stop thinking you're better than everybody, because I will spank your butt if you want to pull that attitude. We got a nation of kids that have been raised not being spanked because they're told to bruise their ego by Dr. Benjamin Spock. Let me tell you something I've noticed. Not disciplining your kids has produced an out-of-control, overinflated ego in almost everybody. And these women today, from the baby boomers on down, are worthless. I don't mean every single woman. There's some good women out there, but they're very hard to find. And if they're found, they're taken with a husband who loves the crap out of them. Okay? When you're 57, you're not going to find a good woman my age just happens to be single. That's gone. And for me and people my age, it's like going to the flea market, buying somebody's used household junk. That's what you got for your choices with women. And you got the obese women in church. Well, God looks at the heart. Yes, he does, but God doesn't have sex with you either. Okay? So back off, lady. If you want to be big as an Oompa Loompa and you want to say that God's pleased with your temple, you rock it, baby. But don't expect me to look at you and go, ooh. No thanks. I don't want my head to be in an armpit bigger than my head. Whew. I say what needs to be said. Now, I don't care if the entire country of men want to peacock. I don't like what this guy's saying. There's somebody out to beat the shit out of him. Go for it. You little pussies. Y'all want to talk tough. You want to hide behind your guns in your pickup truck. And you even got Christian men that want to be all macho. Oh, yeah, and you imitate Tool Time Tim on Home Improvement. Okay, you're a man. Try coming in and fixing this house, going to a job, COVID comes down, I get all this shit falls down on me, and I've never remodeled a house by myself, ever. No help. Listing 4x8 sheets of drywall, not just the 1/2 inch, but the thick fire rating stuff. Put this damn ceiling, 10-foot boards by myself, and because the ceiling in the old house from 1953, I got to stand on a ladder and hold a 10-foot board and try to tuck that in. And I'm a small guy. I was weighed yesterday. I was shocked. I'm getting back up to my weight that I was in the 80s, 157. Of course, I had a 3-pound chain on my neck, so 154. But generally between 140 and 145, I've had to face my fears and the rejection and the ridicule and the laughter. Most of this, which most of these men out there that are married to these silly little immature Christian women have never experienced. And no, I don't connect with men like that. Why in the hell would I? Men are like a slot car. Anybody remember those as a kid? It's got that nub that hangs down. You stick it on a slot track, but it can only go on the track. Christian men, secular men in this country. Oh, do you drive a lifted Ford? Do you got a can of cords in your hand? Do you got your gun? No, I'm for the right to keep bear arms. Don't misunderstand me. These morons trying to take your guns away, they need to be out of the country, okay? Not the guns, but the people who support getting rid of your guns. But I'm going to tell you something. A man is not defined by today's Christian church. A man is not defined by a commercial or the secular culture or your damn pickup or your SUV or your dumbass hand draped over the wheel while you cut people off. And when they honk at you for your rude driving and you go like that, you're an asshole, but you're not a man. I know what a manhood is because I've had a journey to manhood. I've had to face shit by myself with no support group, including from the church. And I'm going to tell you something. If you want to really study something, man, look at the prophets in the Bible. They didn't have fluty, flaky, dumb wives that they had to kiss ass to. They were living in caves and they were eating weird shit. And guess what? God spoke to them. And if they didn't heed what they said, judgment came. God can use me whether you like me or accept me or approve of me or not. Boom! But I know one thing. None of you are affecting me for just a closer walk with thee. So shut it. You can take your Beth Moore. You can take your Max Lucado. I write from the comfort of my $500,000 whatever home and my fat bank account. Take your junk and flush it. Do I have some anger? I do. Is it over? Is it valid? Absolutely. You don't know how many times in this house I've screamed at the ceiling in anger towards God because I've seen Christians do horrible things to me and others and nothing happens to them. They get blessed and blessed and blessed and blessed. I listened to black women 2 years ago. Pacific, you got a girlfriend? No, I just moved here. I'm working on my... Well, man, how come you don't got a girlfriend? Well, because I haven't really got a... Do you spend money on it? I said, well, I take her out on the date I pay for it. No. Like, if I was dating you and I wanted $250 to go drinking with my friends, would you give it to me? I said, no. Why not? Because I don't drink and I'm going to pay for you to get drunk. But Pacific, if you want a woman... If you want, and this is exact words from 2 women. One of them is 65, 70 years old. She wears the hair wrap on her head. When I first met her, she always says, I'm blessed. I thought she was a dignified black saint. Boy, did I get a rude awakening. So her friend, who's about my age, lifts up her fairly thick arms, and you see a sea of black curly pubic hair under her arms, and you're just like, watch and learn, Pacific, what she's about to tell you. She goes, I got a boyfriend now. He don't spend money on me. I'll work my pussy somewhere else. I said, well, I didn't expect that to come from you. I said that. And then the other woman said, that's right, Michael. I said, man, here, I thought you were a venerable saint. Now there's Beth Moore group of people say, well, Michael, that's not right what they're doing. Yeah, but you're not any better. You don't even know how to make love. All you do is have sex. I've been with white women, dead in bed. These women don't read the Song of Solomon. Man, that's as racy and as pornographic as it gets. Her breasts were like towers. Oh my gosh, I love that. But how about the other one? What about our sister? She has no breasts. Oh, I love it. Flat-chested or big-titted, standing at attention. Beautiful. You know what? It takes balls to be a man and be honest with yourself and with others and say, I'm not there yet, but I'm not getting on board your little bus. I'm going to go and I'm going to hear the truth because I need to listen to somebody other than myself. I'm going to listen to a preacher tell me the truth. And by the power of God, may he change Michael, not all this other bullshit and culturalism that whether it's the South or female dominant white female culture, that I don't talk right, say things the right way, wear the right clothes, and you can discredit me. Fuck you. And I say that to Christian women as too. Fuck you. And if that bothers you, I don't care. You are creating sludge in this culture. You're not reaching a damn person. These youth that I've dealt with are coming off the chain to get up into my face, say, fuck you, Whitey, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. You come up here and touch me, Georgia law gives me the right to defend myself, so you better sit down and think about what you're doing. These women, the Beth Moores and these silly little Southern Belles and these little groupies that all follow each other, make a cult shrine out of somebody who has more authority than Jesus Christ. Please don't tell me that this is anointed. Please spare me. You judged us, women, and guess what? You messed with the wrong Irishman, because I am fighting Irish, and I will reduce you to ribbons with words, because it's long overdue. Are there good American white women out there? Absolutely. But you won't hear about them, and you won't see them, because they're not the ones making all the noise with their fucking baby rattles. Beth Moore is an attention-seeking whore that misrepresents suffering saints and true biblical faith. She represents a middle-class, snow globe culture of women who are not transforming this world. That's all we got in the American landscape. Churches that are dying, full of cult clones, full of oldsters, and the only churches attracting young people are the ones that you can take off your shoes, bring your dog and your coffee cup, and pastors that wear a Hawaiian button-down shirt. Yep. Yeah, please. Both of those are extremes. And the Baptist church, you get grounded in there, but there's no personality in there. You go to a charismatic church, they might be a little more loving and accepting, and they believe all this emotionally driven hoopla. I have a woman constantly telling me, please come back to church. The pastor had passed away. He was a simple preacher. And they had the summer of stars of who's who preachers coming. I finally left and found a Baptist church where I can hear some good grounding. It's 80% black. They have a damn good choir. Oh, you want to talk about women that can get up and sing? Those black women aren't looking at the floor going, and the music's so loud with this crappy Christian music to drown out the fact that nobody's singing. I mean, you got grungy people on a stage in these churches that think they're a fucking rock star. Women with their sandals off at a church in Lakewood, Colorado. A woman with all her cleavage showing and her nipples bouncing around on stage. And I called the pastor. I said, did you see that? I did. I think you ought to call our music director. I did. You know what he told me? Well, Mike, that's the way they dress. I said, oh, so thanks. That means I'm allowed to, in holiness, get some lust going because it's paraded in front of me in church. The last place I want to see a woman's tits and nipples showing is on the stage behind a podium in a church. And that's what white women do. They're slut teases. You marry that, you got a chain around your neck that will choke the fuck out of you. And I went to Asia chasing a woman that modeled herself after what America's vomit. And that failed. But that was the first time I made love, because Asian women know how to make love. She didn't, but I finally went off the deep end and sinned and became the prodigal, so to speak. And I fucked quite a few women over there. And I've never seen lovers like I did in Asia that touch me and kiss me. And I lick their underarms because they're clean and smooth without stubble and smell. And you get into this America and tell me, church, what are you doing to take us out of our whatever and get us on fire for God? Not a damn thing. Your market-driven churches. Church went to market. All you do is market the hell out of everything. The wallet-driven purpose. I mean, that's all we've got. This doesn't do anything for me and many millions of us. We're watching our country corrode and erode, and the foundations are being destroyed. And then you hear silly white Christian women say, David was a man after God's own heart. Yes, the Bible says that. He not only fucked a hot-looking woman, but he had her husband killed. But if a man cheats on your sorry ass, he's the devil. It's amazing how that man is not a man after God's own heart because he did it to you. But why did he do it to you? Is it because he's so bad? Well, he was looking at porn. Why was he looking at it? Because you made yourself undesirable? Your boobs sag down to your basement, and you got cellulite and ripples, and you grow your hair under your arms, and you smell. And can I be honest with you? I don't want to fuck you either. Sex is done. It's over. It's no more. And we still have a sex drive. I don't know sometimes why God told us to stay with the same woman all our life. Because when I look at a lot of white women, they're like that song you hear on the radio. Ooh, this is really good. You run out and buy the album, and 2 days later, it sucks. No offense, white women, but that's my observation. I find myself more drawn to brown skin and black skin color than white, pasty white women. There's a mentality with Caucasian women. It's like a computer program. It's predictable as hell. It's like the old computers, the white, big, heavy monitor with the green screen, phosphorus writing, DOS systems. I'm sorry, but most white women, there's no mystique, there's no mystery, there's no passion, there's no depth. And then these same women have the audacity to say, you don't know me. Oh, I do. You're a cookie cutter. I think it's interesting, but then the African-American community in the U.S. is a mess as well. Outrageous. But to be fair to the African-American women, 75% of the men fuck them and leave them. And then they have several kids. Some of those women never grow up. The kids become worse than they do. And then they wonder why they end up getting shot by the police. I don't know, boo-boo. Could it be because you didn't raise them right? And there's some beautiful black women, but where I live here, go to some of these black women's home, cockroaches and rats running through the kitchen, filth everywhere. This house that I bought lived in by black women. My coworker, one of her best friends, lived in this damn house. I was shocked. God has allowed me to make connections with a lot of people that had something to do with this place. I was shocked. Mike, when I used to come in there, it smelled so bad. She was a hoarder. There was stuff everywhere. The place was a mess. I said, oh, you had to see what I got on the walls. The rats chewed the studs. I had to reframe this whole room behind me. I had to tear this whole wall down, take out the door and reframe it, redo it. Oh, yeah. And then you got black men in this country walking around with all that swag, thinking they're Pharaoh, driving their Crown Vics with the 3-foot-high, pimpy, stupid rims on it, took the guts out of the exhaust, and they're driving like maniacs, and they fuck women and leave them. And then they say that whites are racist. And black women keep going after men like that again and again. This country is stuck in a giant spin cycle. Did you watch CNN last night? Nope. What? I don't watch CNN. Or ABC, NBC, PBS, the puberty broadcast system funded by the LGBT. But yeah, if I admit the things I've admitted on YouTube in a church, a pastor's going to draw a circle, put a target, and I admit, and he's going to tell everybody, stay away from that guy. You think that pastors are all called of God to do what they're doing? Every pastor I know is on a building campaign, except the current one, to add more room to the church, even though it's not full, making monuments for themselves so he can take his bored grandkids in the back seat of a car and say, yeah, your dad got that done over there. Oh, yeah. Been sitting in the church, which black people are known for very much dress up. And I come in with a shirt like this, my hoodie with the hoodie cut off, because I hate hoodies. You know how many people, why'd you cut the hood off of that? Because I don't like that thing all bunched up against my hair, and I'm not going to wear a hood. I'm going to look like a teen. I don't like hoodies. It's that cold to put a ski hat down on me. Why do you wear that chain? Some snotty white girl got on my bus years ago here in Georgia, and why do you wear that? I said, why do you wear that? Why did you dye your hair moldy green? I didn't say moldy, but it looked like mold. She just looked at me and I said, well, why are you wearing that? You're asking me a dumb question. Obviously, I'm wearing it because I want to. Dumb. And what does all this have to do with Christianity? The same culture's in the church. The church is always just one step behind the world. And I'm affected by Hollywood and our culture. Oh my gosh, I got some wrong shit in me too. And I know that men and women in this country will judge the hell out of me. I'm so used to it. I learned to finally judge rightly. So when you hear an American woman say, you can't judge me, just smile and say, I can, I did, and I have nothing more to say. Goodbye. They're judging us. All the women that say you can't judge me, they've judged you. Trust me. They'll run right back. Oh, this guy was judging me. He says, you should see his hair. Oh, I can't judge you, but you went back and judged the hell out of me behind my back. Okay, yeah. Don't listen to women in this culture, please. They're not supposed to teach or have authority over us. Good women who are really close to God, they're few and far between. Few and far between. I would have no problem with a wife who's a good woman, who pleases me and is the helpmeet that I need. I'm willing to listen to what she has to say because she's earned my respect to have me as an audience. And if she thinks I should make a decision, yes, I'm the head of the house, but I'm going to be sensitive to her. Say, you know what? You make some good points. Let me think this over and go to God. But you got a bunch of feminists in Christianity today. Beth Moore is a feminist. All these women. Joyce Myers, oh, she's feminism summa cum laude. Walks and talks like a man. Approval addiction. $8 million net worth. She has mansions that are huge. And yeah, she's a mess. Remember that fruity white woman with the robe with the long, or the sleeves hanging out the robe? Paula. I mean, we've had Paul and Jan Crouch and Tammy Faye Baker and the PTL ministries with all the fluty, poofed up Dolly Parton hairdos. I'm supposed to get underneath that. I don't like Dolly Parton's music. I don't like Elvis Presley. I didn't like the Beatles. What? Elvis Presley was boring. That's great. Go for it. Because people don't like what I like. And we have this domination in this country that if you're not with this group, or you don't track this way, that way, you're judged by Christians and non-alike. Think about it. Stand up and confront this shit. I'm not going to call Beth Moore. She ain't going to listen to me. She's not going to listen to anybody. She listens to herself. These people do not listen to God. And it's amazing how people can say that God led them, God called them. I don't believe that at all. There are people that God called. There are people that God led. I felt the leading of God. I felt called of God to do this or that. But these women that got their ministries charging exorbitant amounts for their seminars, wow, I thought the truth wasn't for sale. Max Lucado makes tons of money selling insipid little books that make God a warm little fuzzy glow bear. That doesn't work for me as a man. But I want intimacy with God, but I sure am not going to get it listening to light Christian women that want to talk about their dogs on Sunday morning. Man, I just had a hellacious week. Can I come in here and we can stop talking about all this flim-flam, bric-a-brac, your obsessive OCD dog culture, your SUV culture, or you're going to go on a cruise with Dr. Stanley? Man, you're not reaching me, ladies. And you got these dumb husbands that they won't stand up to you and say, man, I'm tired of you. You're boring. And then they wonder why there's affairs and porn. America's the biggest producer of it. Doesn't look like our Judeo-Christian ethic worked, did it? Funny, you got secular countries that don't look as much porn as us because they love their damn women. And not just to look like they love them. And the Christians, the churches teaches us to fake it, to play the game. Jesus never taught me that. Jesus said, be real. And if that means that all of the American white women will go like this to you and anything you have to say, so be it. Jesus went to Jerusalem, and just like we learned in church again last Sunday, Hosanna, blessed are you who comes in the name of the Lord. And a week later, the same were shouting, crucify him. If Jesus were to walk through the middle of evangelicalism in the United States, there'd be a lot of women that would have a problem with who he really was. Because Jesus would look through their BS and say, you're really a mature lady. Just because a church exists, just because there's a pastor in a pulpit, just because a woman starts a whole movement, doesn't mean that God is in it. If you can't get that basic concept in your mind, God could use a foul-mouthed person like me more than he uses some of these clowns. Truth is powerful. What we have in America is cultural Christianity. Cultural Christianity is not the same as biblical Christianity. Beth Moore is a culture. Stanley is a culture. They've made themselves icons. I listened to some of Stanley's messages. He has some good stuff. But is he worth $200,000 a year? No, of course not. Should he get to go and globetrot all around the world? I just think it's funny for somebody who's pastor of a big church, he's got all this time for that, because I mean, pastors of small churches in the Midwest America, they don't even get a damn vacation. And they don't get that kind of money. And they're doing more of the work of God than Stanley is. Stanley's mass-produced, in touch, and TV and marketed himself. And people get the impression that that's Christianity. It isn't. It's a cult following. It's an iconic, it's like comic cleanser, man. It's just whatever. I'm not saying Stanley doesn't preach truth, but you got people in need of being saved all around the globe, and we're going to pay one man $200,000 in Atlanta, Georgia? What a waste of money. You got all these rich Christians grouped up in his church because it's the hobnob. Why don't you all fat cats take your money and go to Africa yourself, go on a damn trip without the cruise ship, and go into these villages and say, man, I'm going to help you buy some pipe and stuff so you can run a water line to this village. I mean, come on, folks. I don't follow American Christianity anymore. I go to church and I just sit there. And it's fun to watch people stare. It's just so funny to watch it. Because they've been conditioned to think that doesn't look like what a Christian ought to look like. Oh, what is a Christian supposed to look like? I guess you forgot about Samson, huh? I guess you forgot about the Nazarite vow, huh? Don't shave your head. And don't drink wine. Well, guess what? I got a Nazarite vow. I'm not shaving my head. Well, not quite. I get it trimmed. But don't take a razor to your hair. Don't drink wine. I don't drink wine. You know how many Christians drink wine and Coors and beer? Okay. So you want to talk about holiness? I'm closer to a Nazarite vow than you are. You know, it's just funny to watch this. So judging. We as Christians have the right to judge. And some people that are Christians, that are immature in the faith, they're extremely judgmental, and they're wrong in their judgment because they're maybe Christians. They don't have the discernment, the growth, the depth, the doctrinal grounding that takes place. You know, I married my first wife, we'd walk into a mall in the 80s and they'd have the little chrome flat base with the two chrome bars coming up and the little sign that says 50% off sale. That little stars all over it. And she'd see that one star that was tilted just the wrong way and say, oh, look, that's the devil star. That's the go to Mendes, the 5 point. And I fell in with that. Her father said all rock music was satanic because it had an African drum beat. That's laughable. Oh, an African drum beat, satanic, huh? If it wasn't played on a Hammond organ, it was demonic to him. So when I was doing the Christian faith, I said, so Frank, he's dead now, so I can talk about him. Frank, you're watching Love Boat. These two people are laying in bed together, but they're not married. They're married to other people in real life. You know what he said? Well, that doesn't adversely affect me. Yeah, but you got a man and a woman under the covers in bed kissing each other. Oh, that's just acting. Oh, and the boner was an acting too, under the sheets. Wouldn't that be nice as a Christian? God says, go into acting and you can fuck all the women you want because it's just acting. Yeah! I mean, Abraham, let's get real here. Sarah said, hey, why don't you sleep with Hagar? I don't see any evidence that Abraham said, that ain't right. No. That man was a man and he thought, ooh, I get to try a new chick tonight. Women don't want to hear that in churches today. They don't want to hear that. White women act like we're supposed to idolize the fuck out of them. That when we marry them, that we never see anybody else and only them. Sorry, babe, you're not that hot. Even if I was married to you, even if we had a good marriage, you think I'm not going to notice 1,000 other women that walk by with nipples poking through? We're made that way. Men, don't marry a woman who gets ridiculous if your head's swiveled because you saw a low-cut top go by. If you got a woman that gets that, get away from her. Oh, I made a covenant with my eyes. Yeah, did you make a covenant with God that you won't be materialistic and OCD over dogs? That you don't need an SUV in a place that never gets snow and mud? Please. When you get real, when you actually show Christian fruit and you separate yourself from the pack of flaky, gaudy makeup, spending so much money in the mall on your ugly ass clothing, get back to me. I don't care what these women think. As you can tell, I have some scar tissue, so I'm kind of hot on the button about it. I don't respect those women, nor do I need to. Do I go out there and yell at them in public? No, I just go to on the other side of town where the white women are dominant. Hey, welcome to South Carolina. Why don't you talk a little more contrived, babe? That really turned me on. Bitches all. White women are horrible in this country. They're horrible, 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 horrible. When I've looked at porn, I find that the brown-skinned women turn me on more than they do. White women are a joke. In the church, out of the church. Women defend their sins all day, every day. They defend her yelling at a man's face, defend her obstinate, rebellious, outrageous, obnoxious behavior. And when a man stands up and says, the Bible says, let a woman be gentle, that her husband may be won over by her, chaste and gentle. Oh, no, 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 to these feminists. No, I'm not going to do it. Jesus went to a cross, but you're not going to take your husband talking to you about spending too much money. Shut up. Shut up, ladies. I had a wife for 14 years that was a bitch. When I dated her, I should have ran when she said this. She goes, I was the perfect child and my mother never accepted me. I should have said, you know what? Thanks for telling me that. I got to go. You're not going to see me? No, you were the perfect child. That's a lie. We were married. We got into an argument. I don't remember what it was about. Mostly of her buying so much shit. And she'd stuff the cupboard cabinets full of Tupperware that she never used and go and buy more and more. And I said, why are you doing this? I didn't yell. I said, why? Can you stop it? And the reason that I was picking at her is because I didn't love her anymore. I was done. But I was, I tried to be tight with our money for us. She started yelling and screaming and acting like a middle school girl, walked into our bedroom, slammed the door, hit me in the face, locked it. I said, man, open the door. You just hit me with that. She's on the other side going, ding, 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 like a junior high. I said, man, you better open that door. I threw my body weight against it, broke the damn molding off. And I walked over and I went on the side of the face. To this day, she tells everybody I was abusive. And if you listen to women today, no man ever has a right to hit a woman. Oh, okay. But a woman walked into a Christian school and shot people. These women in this country become fucking beasts. Wake the fuck up, people. I never touched her again. But she built an entire case at our 14-year marriage. I said, why are you telling people? I slapped you once the first year we were married. Never touched you again. Well, you yelled. I said, you yelled. I said, what the hell? When I tried to talk to you, you ramped up, yelled. I had to yell to outpower you and you're shouting. Verbal abuse. Did I call you a cunt, a bitch? Never. Did I call you names? I said, man, you're being really rude to me. American women lie about their husbands. I was a victim of it. I was married 14 years. For 15 years after the divorce, she continued to get revenge and still listened to Focus on the Family and told everybody, you know, it's so important for a man to be in the family. And then she let my son, 14 years old, go off with a 21-year-old bisexual guy that butt fucked him. My son admitted that to me 2 years ago. He denied it, and he finally admitted to his mother. And actually, I called him. I said, why didn't you tell me? His mother let him go with this guy because he was a good mentor because you weren't there. I said, I wasn't there. I'm here in Colorado. You kept him from seeing me. Women don't, in white culture. I've actually had black women here in Georgia apologize to me when they were over their boundaries. Never a white female. Never. My mother, my sister, my grandma, my aunt, the women I've been involved with, never. Funny. 1 John 1:9 says that if you confess your sins, God is faithful and just. How come women act like they don't sin? Because they really believe that they don't ever do anything wrong. All the 50% of marriages in divorce are always categorically blamed on us men. Is that even rational? Of course it isn't. Listen to all the media and what they're saying about white people, but look at Google. When I'm listening to music, I don't want to hear some nasally twat cunt white girl trying to sell me something I don't need in her irritating voice. The commercials are dominated by white females. Where's the black and the Asian and the Mexican women in there? Google's saying that whites are racist and privileged and Black Lives Matters, but all they put out in the commercials are whites. All the media is owned by rich white elites. I don't even listen to white people anymore because they're fucked. Fucked. In the church, out of the church. If I can get a preacher who states the word of God, I'm going to listen to him. Am I going to become a member? No, membership is a dog and pony show of which I don't want to go to anymore. I'm not going to go and confess my sins to people in the church unless I do something wrong to them. It's none of their damn business. To be raked over the coals and analyzed for stuff in the past. But then that same church will get behind, back in the days, Chuck Colson, oh, we support that he's reaching prisoners. But then let a Christian sin or screw up or divorce his wife. You're banded, barred, and judged forever. This church in America no longer has power. God can still use Pacific Ocean, me, and he does. And no, I'll never be viral. I don't get one donation my way. And I did never ask for it because I like to talk. I need to get on. I need to hang another door in the bathroom. I got shit to do. But this world is corroding around us. I wonder if I'll even get to finish my house with this Biden administration. He'd probably take our house away next. Wants to ban my gas stove and my 4-ton air conditioner unit outside the house for 2,100 square foot house. Yeah, this government's really awesome. And what has the church done to stop this? Not a damn thing. So many Christians in the U.S. We're a Christian nation. No, we're not. Never were. The Christians in America are more worried about their comfort and the way people look and talk and act instead of this. I would marry a woman who was a lesbian that fell in love with me, who admitted that she gets turned on sucking another girl's tits, but she was so in love with me, she wanted to be my wife over a church prude any day. Can you imagine what the Christian Beth Moore type of women would say about what I just confessed? They judge the hell out of me. Who wants to marry a woman that's pancaked with makeup, wears ugly, overpriced clothing, whose house is dominated by feminist whatever, and the men don't? Now men have to have a men cave. Now women got a she shed and a she SUV and their doggy that they baby talk to. What kind of a man like me wants to be around that? I don't. I don't want to go to Beth Moore. Why would I want to listen to Beth Moore? She has nothing that can even relate to my world. I'd like to see these women. I don't drive a school bus no more, but I'd like to see them get on the bus down here in the South and drive the routes I drove. Beth Moore be chewed up and spit out by these African-American children. Say, bitch. They call her names. These damn women don't live in my reality. Most of the Christian church in America doesn't live in my reality. It's interesting. I have found some strange music out there. Strange music. What is the name of that song? What is the name of that song? I wish I could remember it. It's sung by a woman that's from Germany, but the video is like Native American Indian. Let me see if I can find it in YouTube. Gosh, this is hard to find. There we go. Thank you. Twist in My Sobriety. If you want to hear a good song, listen to that. Twist in My Sobriety song lyrics. Boom, let's go. All God's children need traveling shoes. Drive your problems from here. All good people read good books. Now your conscience is clear. I hear you talk, girl. Now your conscience is clear. In the morning when I wipe my brow, wipe the miles away. I like to think I can be so willed and never do what you say. I'll never hear you and never do what you say. Look, my eyes are just holograms. Look, your love has drawn red from my hands. From my hands, you know you'll never be more than twist in my sobriety, more than twist in my sobriety. Repeat. We've just poked a little empty pie for the fun that people had at night. Late at night don't need hostility, the timid smile and pause too free. I don't care about their different thoughts. Different thoughts are good for me. Up in arms and chaste and whole, all God's children took their toll. Look, my eyes are just holograms. Repeat chorus. Cup of tea takes time to think. Yeah, time to risk a life, a life, a life. Sweet and handsome, soft and porky. You pig out till you want to see the light. Pig out till you've seen the light. Half the people read the papers, read them good and well. Pretty people, nervous people. People have got to sell news you have to sell. You have to read and look that up to see what she was communicating. But I would challenge the Beth Moore genre of plastique pseudo-Christian women. I'm not saying they're not Christian, but it's not a Christianity I want to follow. It isn't passion. They've trivialized the story of Scripture. When Moses was walking around doing whatever he was doing on Mount Sinai and saw a bush on fire that wasn't being consumed, that caused him to go, what is going on over here? I would have done the same. Like, what is that? And to hear a voice say, Moses, Moses, take off your sandals, you're on holy ground. I want that. I don't want a Beth Moore type of euphoric crapola. I want the living God to punctuate the equilibrium. I'm writing a story on Facebook about the Microroo. It's a 70-foot sailboat that I conjured up in my mind, and I sailed from Long Beach over to Casiguran, the Philippines. And without getting into all the details, the story is still going on. I've met a beautiful woman over there that God approached her before I hit the storm just west of Hawaiian island chain that lasted 2 weeks. It sank every damn ship that was out in it. Maersk, container ships, fishing vessels, everything, cruise ships. And I'm the only one that went through that storm. Waves up to 100 feet, relentless 2 weeks. I got a boat that was built in the 30s, and it was bought by a Japan man named Microroo. That's the name. And he bought it in Sweden in the 30s and sailed it back to Japan. His family saw him as bizarre and different. Why would you do that? And he wrote a diary, which we were in Kobe, and me and Anna, the woman that's from Casiguran, she had a dream a month before I even hit that storm that there would be a horrific storm on the Pacific, the worst ever in history. And there'd be one man only that made it through on his boat, and that is going to be your husband. So we're engaged, and we've been invited to go to Japan because they wanted to buy the boat because of the fact that now I've become somebody because I survived the worst storm ever. And it was proof that I was out there because I left. The U.S. Coast Guard saw me leaving in Long Beach, and then a Coast Guard unit down in Hawaii had saw me and actually radioed me, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm good. I'm Pacific. I'm sailing across the ocean." Within a few days later, all hell broke loose. I'm on the boat. I sense something in the ocean. I feel the breeze start to pick up. I removed the bell. I pulled down all the sails, stowed them securely, took the tiller off, put the auto steer on the boat, bat and hatch down, and I went below. And within 1 hour of that, thinking I'm going to die. God is mad at me. 2 weeks, I have to force myself to get up out of bed because I'm laying there. You get thrown. And I've got myself, my bed, my berth is all wood. It's beautiful. And it's got rails on it where I can put a strap down and hold me in place so I'm not getting whacked on one side or the other. But when I get up, I'm grabbing handholds and railing and steps to get up into the upper level and look out the portholes. And all I can see is water just going, can't see, it's so dark. But in one evening in particular, or one day, I hear something with all this wind and waves and noise. And I look out the porthole and I see a light. I'm looking, what is that? But the water streaming down, and I'm straining. I'm holding with this boat going, looking through this porthole, 2 inches thick, by the way. And I see, barely make out a cargo ship going down. God is in the whole story. I get to Casiguran and I'm welcomed with a hero's welcome because the BBC now picks up the story and I can hear it on my ship to shore radio, and I've got some other communication devices. And the BBC is commenting on, people have notified us, and the Coast Guard in Hawaii has notified us that there's a man named Pacific who wanted to sail across the Pacific, and they had seen him off the coast of Hawaii. He had made it from Long Beach. Long Beach was destroyed. These waves, this storm was massive, and it sent 100-footers up into the coast of California. The Queen Mary was shoved and pushed and knocked over and broken in many pieces. The Port of Long Beach was destroyed. I wrote this story because in that story, there's a lot of symbolism. We all want to be known for something. And Americans always set their sights really low. You got women that want to write books and put themselves out there that they're so important, that there's some lofty spiritual insight that only they have, and they get a following under them, and they think because they got a following that God's all in this. I get closer to Casaguran. I enter the sound of Casaguran because I'm over. When the storm abated, I finally get back up, look the boat over. I'm shocked, no damage. I unfurl the sails, put everything up, catch the wind, and I was making good mileage all the way to Hawaii. And here I'm in the storm. I can't steer. I can't go up on deck. And God himself is driving that boat in a specific direction. I was going to stop over at Guam. Missed that because of the storm. The storm did a lot of damage there too. And a flotilla of boats comes out. A Coast Guard cutter meets me at the edge of the sound, and they pull alongside, and the captain, the Filipino, talks to me, and we're talking back and forth, and he says, our radio's on this frequency. We can talk. We're going to guide you in. We've been told you're coming, and we were told it looked like you were headed here. I said, this is where I chose. I figured there'd be less storm damage if I go to the south of the sound and straight up north because you got that landmass protecting. He goes, we didn't suffer any damage inside here. And as we're heading in, certain boats come out. One boat comes out with a drop-dead, gorgeous, long, black-haired, brown-skinned woman who's got distinctive facial features. Pacific, do I have permission to come aboard? And the boat pulls up close, and I take her hand. She says, I will tell you more about things later, but my family and I are extending a personal invitation for you to stay at our home. We've heard all about you. This village respects you, and you are welcome in our place. And inside me, everything is coming apart. Wow, this has never happened. And the story begins. And I do little increments on Facebook that a few are just reading it. I want God to move. But if you're looking for God in this culture, forget it. You have to be bold and be an individual, even with all your sins and your problems. Don't be conformed to a church culture, a group of white women culture, a Beth Moore culture. God used disciples, and he pulled them out of their own unique individualism and brought them in. And he did not expect all of them to walk lock and step to be exactly like each other. They were to believe the same truth. But you go to churches in America, look at men. Oh, do you hunt? Do you got a 4x4? Nope, I don't do either. Oh, well, I guess we don't hang out with you. We hear this over and over in the church today, folks. The hand cannot say to the foot, I have no need of you. Guess what? It does it every damn day in America. Every damn day. So this is the door that I stripped down. It's going to go to the bathroom, so I have to visually figure it out. Hopefully these holes aren't too routed out that I can't get basic screws. We'll find out soon enough. Actually, I'm going to do it in this room instead of the kitchen today. Give me more room to work with. And the only thing I didn't do right, but I didn't notice, the electrical socket for the light is back here. So the door goes the wrong way, but that's okay. Every house has to have one moronic idiocy just to show that we're human. Let's see, we want to do this. I gotta figure this out now. Okay, so we want to go this way so I can pay attention to the way it goes into the bathroom. Mosquito out in here. I don't have help. I wish I could buy a 70-foot Makaroo and sail across the ocean as part of my journey to manhood with only God and me. That ocean scares the shit out of me. But I've learned something. If God is with me, so what? Ann and I spent 2 weeks in Japan, and we meet a beautiful woman that all these things I made up, no plagiarism. We sailed from Casagurán across the South China Sea of the Pacific up into Pacific up into Kobe. We were going to go to Tokyo. But Anna keeps having dreams, and when she has a dream, everything that she says comes to pass. China's about ready to pounce on Taiwan, and they've got quite a few warships going around the straits circling the island. And we were headed for Tokyo. The president, the emperor of Japan, invited us there, and we got in touch out at sea with the Japanese Coast Guard vessel that actually was able to radio us. He got in touch with the Philippine Coast Guard vessel. And Anna's with me. And believe it or not, we're not having sex. She's beautiful. We're sleeping in the same berth. But I made a commitment. I'm not going to touch her until we're married. I mean, I'll hug her, I'll kiss her, but we're not doing all that feely-uppy boner stuff. And this woman is awesome. She worked with her dad fishing. I put her in the tiller seat, and she can steer that boat like nobody's business. A 70-footer. That's a heavy boat. And I trust Anna implicitly. And we meet Sakuri. She told the president, I want Pacific and Anna to stay with me. Sakuri had a son who died, who was murdered. He had a dream many, many, many years ago warning about a Japanese leader that was going to be assassinated, and he got that to the leader, and the leader took heed of what he said and hid himself. When the man who was going to assassinate found out that he was warned by this man, he took him out. So Sakuri, her husband, had long ago died, and her son was murdered, and she lived alone in a beautiful Japanese estate with cherry trees and lavish gardens, and we get the privilege of staying in her beautiful Japanese home. And we're invited to dinner by Japanese dignitaries, but Anna has a dream. We're a day out from Kobe, and the dream is so intense, I radioed the Kobe Coast Guard ship. I said, we need to talk, Captain. You already know about the dream that she had. That's circulated through BBC. Well, she has had another dream, and you guys have got to take heed. Another storm's coming. We're not going to Tokyo. We don't have time. We're going to go into Kobe, and as soon as we dock that boat, a day later, at 5 p.m., the storm's coming. It won't damage Japan. It'll be high winds, which will topple trees and stuff, and intense rains. But there's going to be a warning to Japan or China. And I will tell you about that when we meet with the premiers of Japan and the media is there, and it will be aired so that China can hear it. And the dream she has is that these ships are going to be taken out if they do not evacuate the Straits of Taiwan. Suddenly the world is now becoming aware of this Anna and Pacific and the Microroo. And people are starting to go, what's going on? Who are these two? And it's not us. God chose to use her. And he used me to bring me over to connect with her. And now God is speaking to both of us. And we have just left Japan now. We are away from the coast of Japan, headed towards Taipei. We've been invited to Taiwan because of what happened with the warships. They were all sunk. One defected. The minute they got wind of the message, the captain had his druthers about CCP, and he said, he got his men up, mustered his men up on deck, and he said, look, I'm going to lay it out right now. If you choose to not to go with me, I'll pull up alongside another ship, and I'll let you go to them. His men unanimously said, no, we're going with you. His men were faithful. They defected. They steered out of Taiwan, and God was with them. And Hui is his name. Hui got saved. He came into contact with God's grace, and he just took off with one of Japan's biggest warships. And the rest of the people didn't know that he had left. The other ships got together and said, no, we're not leaving. Who is this Pacific? Who is this Anna? We're the Communist Party. Some man or woman in a sailboat, some dreamer. Who cares? And once that statement was made, Anna and I come out with the premieres of a restaurant in a municipal building in Kobe. We come out, and the storm hasn't yet hit. I look up in the night sky, and we both observe a meteorite. And everybody commented, we never seen a meteorite go over Japan. That was one. That was for Xi. Xi was told. He was warned. He saw the news. And he had a meeting with his closest men. And he said, we're not going to do anything different. We're not pulling our ships. And one Chinese man said, Xi, I don't know the specific Anna, but what they've said 3 times has come to pass. Xi prophesied a storm on the Atlantic that destroyed DC, Boston, and New York, completely wiped them off. In fact, it wiped out the House, the Capitol Hill, with the House and the Senate in it. The politicians are gone. The White House is gone. Biden and the Democrats have been washed out. An undersea earthquake generated at the same time an Atlantic storm brewed, and it sent waves, and it literally washed over Long Island to the other side and sent all the boats and houses and debris up to Connecticut. If you think this cannot happen, it can. The ocean is pretty massive. So now I've set the stage that God is put a slowdown on the prophetic clock. That people from the Midwest and the Western states, California, Oregon, and Washington have been heavy destruction. Seattle, San Francisco, LA. The ocean has done so much damage. Nancy Pelosi's home. The series of 100-foot waves came right up the hill and took them out. It's awesome because God did it. So Xi's arrogant and says, I'm not leaving. And one of his own Chinese says, don't you think we need to at least heed? No, I'm not. He says, well, if there's no more further business, do I have permission to go home? Yes, meeting is adjourned. You all meet me at 5 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see about this so-called storm. They leave. This Chinese man goes walking out of there, and he starts saying, oh God, please get me home safe. He no sooner gets home safely and the meteorite hits Nanjing and wipes out Xi and the palace. Makes worldwide news in minutes. But the ships continue to be obstinate. The storm rolls in at 5, and because they chose not to leave, meteorites come down singularly. 20-foot pieces hit the deck of each ship. You're talking about the velocity plunges that thing, puts a hole in it, and just shoves it under the water. I mean, that quick. Don't think this can happen? I don't believe in artistic license. This absolutely could happen. So now Taiwan is going, wow, our threat is gone. And China issues a statement, we will leave Taiwan alone. We will not send our ships. We will not take it over. So the president in Taiwan says, Pacific and Anna, when you're done in Japan, would you please come and see us in Taipei? Sakuri decides that she's lived her life having the easy, beautiful Japanese life, and she decides as an older woman, comes to me and says, I want to go with you guys. I've lived in comfort and ease. I want to feel the wind in my hair. I want to live before I die. Can I please go with you and Anna? And we both embrace her and say, absolutely. And we're having a wonderful voyage. The wind is at our back, even though that's not the prevailing way. And we're headed towards Taipei. She's going to come down to Kasagura with us, and she and Hui of the ship, we were going to go to Tokyo. The government was going to have us ride on one of their warships. And then the president came down and said, Pacific, we have a change of plans. We've had radio chatter because we have in our possession, we told China that they can arrange for a way to get the ship. They decided they don't want it. So Hui has spoken with the U.S. Navy, which is out on the Nimitz out there, and they want to surrender it to the U.S., and the U.S. is going to take possession of it, but they want Hui to sail it all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico because the coasts have been destroyed. And the ship is big. It can't go through the Panama, so they just go all the way around the Horn. And Hui's excited. He gets to do the voyage of his life on a ship he's familiar with. And as he's leaving, we go down to the dock expecting we're going to board a ship. And we're told we're not, but we get to witness Hui leaving, and he's got his binoculars and spies us. He's met us. We've gone to dinner with him, and he became a Christian. And he pulls that horn and blasts at us and waves. It's awesome. So now we're headed to Taipei. But I was at Sakuri's house, woke up at 2 a.m. I'm early anyway, and I touched Anna, said, Anna, wake up, I have to tell you something. She sits up, are you okay? I said, I'm fine, but we need to leave as soon as we can. We need to talk to Sakuri, and we need to get out of here. And as Anna gets up to go to the bathroom, she hears Sakuri padding around the house. And, oh, did we wake you? No, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Pacific and all of us need to get out of here immediately. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we need to get out to sea immediately. She goes, oh my gosh, Pacific just told me the same. I hear them, I come out. She prepares tea. We sit down in her living room with the soft lighting in her beautiful living room, and we talk. And I said, okay, tomorrow at first light, we go down and we get on and we get out of here. No media. We're just going to slip out of the harbor and go. Something big is coming. Guam is about to get wiped off the planet. And there's going to be a massive undersea earthquake, really big. And it's going to send a tsunami. And we're going to get just out of reach of that. And unfortunately, there's going to be an earthquake in the city we just were, in Kobe, and it's going to be an ugly mess. We don't have the dream, though, so we don't know what's coming. We just feel the prompting to get out. And I shared that with the president. I said, I don't know what's coming, but I feel very strongly that we need to put out to sea. I have a feeling that something horrible is coming, and we're leaving. Please, President, don't allow the media to come. We're leaving tomorrow. First light, we're leaving. If you could keep the media at bay. Pacific, you have my word. You be careful with Sakuri. She's Japan's beloved, and they didn't want her to do this. And she looked up and said, God has protected these two. Why are you worried about me? You ought to be worried that you have no God. Even the president, though he respects us, doesn't believe. So this is fun. This is just fun. And I don't want to listen to Beth Moore. I don't want to listen to American Christians. I don't. I wish I had the balls and the means to face the scariest thing of me, the Pacific and all its wrath, and make it. I want to hear God in the storm. You don't know how many times I've cussed in frustration in the struggle of doing this house, and things go wrong and this breaks and on and on. And I've cussed and yelled and said, why did you let my ex-wife do what she did? Why did you let... My son called me the other day and FaceTimed me and said he's making a return to his heavenly Father. What? Praise God. I'm not comfortable in American culture. I'm comfortable in here. But every time I go anywhere, I feel insecure as hell. I don't feel good in a church, in a store. There's something about this culture that they say just be yourself, but they don't really believe that. So when you be yourself, sometimes somebody that you least expect comes out and says, I like the chain. I like your hair, man. I actually like your style. When you bold to be where nobody else is being, which is you, and you break out these little groupettes, you're going to have a lot of people that'll laugh you off. And just because Christians all get on the bandwagon about something doesn't mean God's in it. Just because Christians all get on the bandwagon doesn't mean that God's in it. We have favorites and predispositions and likes and dislikes, and we tend to gravitate towards our comfort zone. Pacific's never been allowed to do that because I don't have a comfort zone. I'm living in Georgia, not exactly the setting for the micro, but my love of the ocean doesn't leave because I've moved elsewhere. What is happening to me at 57 is I'm starting to say in a way, and it's not Christ-like to say this, but I'm starting to say, fuck it and fuck everybody. Be you. And if they don't like it, yeah, you're going to be nervous. You're going to be uncomfortable, but walk on. Be who you are. Men, stop following everybody. Stop. It's okay to like your truck and your gun, but please don't cultify yourself. Don't box yourself in. If you like watching ballet, then like it. And if somebody thinks you're a faggot, let them think it. Manhood is not defined by the size of your SUV or the lift kit or the beer can. It's defined by your ability to be brave and face whatever shit comes your way. Your manhood is defined as a Christian when you don't follow the Christian crowd or the pastor or the leadership, but you follow what you believe you need to be doing. Even if it's at odds with everybody around you. That doesn't mean you go into church and raise a stink. Listen to the preacher, but check the things he says to see whether they be so like the Bible commands us. And it's okay to not like the culture you're in. It's okay to look at the church culture and go, meh. Be nice, be polite, and gracefully exit and leave. You know, you're not going to go in and make a scene. I don't do that. But I can sure talk about it. I loved it when all the trolls were coming after me, and that one woman with the cat on the counter, I don't even know what happened to her, but he's so judgmental. And then she makes a video judging me. Proved the point, babe. She was okay looking, but her assessment of me, bullshit. Pandora the Eclectic. There's a winner. A basement internet dweller. Pacific Ocean either thugs. Okay, Pandora. If you can form a coherent, articulate sentence worth listening to, let me know. it takes time even for me to grow up and say, okay, so people don't like me. And life goes on. No, I don't like Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, Bruce Hornsby, Huey Lewis and News. I don't like them. But you know what? That I was listening to on the radio the other day, and I started singing it. This is America for you and me. What happened to that? What the hell happened to that? You got some idiot with an afro, crappernack, that despises our flag and wants to kneel because he's so concerned about police brutality. Oh, okay, you're making millions of dollars playing football. And now, if the man had taken time off and said, I'm going to go get the police academy and I want to see what's going on and see if I can make a difference, I would have respected him. But instead, you take a sport that brought all races together for one common thing, to watch a sport. And you, an asshole, brought division and racism in there. Nice job. Why do I need to get behind that? I don't. Why do I need to get behind Beth Moore, the latest book that the Christendom cult puts out? I don't. Do any of that same group of people get into me? Not at all. Does that mean I'm walking contrary and wrong? Contrary, yes, but does that mean I'm wrong? No. Look, we're living in a day and age where the majority of people can look at me and say, there's something wrong with him. And the majority of the people will believe that. Does it make it so? No. Is there something wrong with me? Hell fucking yes. A lot. But more with them. Because I'm free to believe and pursue what I want. Up to a point. I mean, I'm limited by money and by constraint of God. And if I had the money Beth Moore and all these wacko Christians had, I sure as hell wouldn't buy some colonial house with poofy curtains. I'd be trying to face my fear and get on a boat. It's all right, God. Let's you and I go out to sea and see how this is going to work. You know what triggered this story? I can't play it because you play music and it gets into all this copyright crapola. Crockett's theme. Ebbs. See if you can find the right one. There it is. Miami Vice Crockett's theme. I'll show you the picture if you want to look at it. You may not be into the music, but I am. You go to 44 minutes, okay? Click at the bar on the bottom, 44 minutes. You get just past that 44, like into the 44, 40 seconds. Play that section of music there. That started this whole story. Music is very powerful to me. And what I imagine when you hear that, it just caused me to be creative. You hear what sounds like almost like a ship's bell dinging. And that music that has that, something's about to happen out at sea. And the music goes into this crescendo where you can just picture the ocean turning into the ocean waves. That piece of music triggered this. Just as I say that in a creative sense, the crap that I grew up with, the domineering woman, the mother that never said, I'm sorry, I fucked up, the sister who was arrogant, smug, and had favoritism, all that contributes to something. It's a trigger. Go into churches, go into a business, and still the crap goes on. I'm 57. I don't live with my mommy. I don't want to. But I see people and crazy stuff, and I go, wow, women still think that they're all out on a shtick. No. You're forced. in our churches. You're forced in our culture that you got to go this way or that way or wear this or say this. Have you not seen what's going on in America? People think it's okay to riot and burn shit down, and the Democratic Party doesn't say one fucking word about that ridiculous behavior. You know, police brutality, but we're going to destroy Target. The most poignant scene I saw was two black girls that their house is probably a filthy mess with cockroaches walking around with coif carrot nails, carrying red Target handbaskets with the busted entrance of Target, walking in and stealing all the makeup they want. Wasn't that nice? Walking on broken glass, so dainty. Isn't that nice that this shit goes on in America? But that same group of idiots in Capitol Hill, this is an insurrection. Dumbasses. Insurrection, my ass. If those protesters, whoever was involved in that bullshit of January 6th, and it was a bunch of bullshit, they could have taken out all those jokers in that building. They didn't. They didn't even try to. You had a bunch of hoodlums vandalize shit because they're ghetto pieces of trash anyway. Whether they were Trump supporters or Antifa, we don't know. And Nancy Pelosi, that's all she focused on. Just like her impeach Trump with her $80,000 signature pens. I mean, she's an idiot. We have 2020 and the COVID thing. And we got a soy boy news guy saying Nancy Pelosi's ice cream. And we have a school shooting and Biden's talking about his ice cream. And Kamala Harris goes to my friend's country in Zambia and she says, Kamala Harris, the vice president. I said, oh, that's bad. I said, what the hell is she doing down there? Well, U.S. and Uganda or Zambia are friends. I said, yeah, but our vice president is racist against whites, even though she's married to a white guy. So is AOC, by the way. You'd be shocked. You'd think she wasn't married or anti-man. Oh, she's married to a white guy. They're all screaming about white conservatives, but they're all married to whites. All of them don't live in their own neighborhoods. They live around white rich people in gated communities. I mean, when is the Democrats going to wake the fuck up? They talk about racism. How many of those white rich Democrats are hanging around black folks? I live in a black hood. I took a lady out to lunch that's black. We had a great time. She sat on the futon in my bedroom. I sat on my bed and we talked for hours. The black gentleman next door, 77 years old, came through to see my house. I'm surrounded by blacks. And even though there's a lot of things I don't like in the black community that really frost my ass, I would rather be in the black community than the white female community within the evangelical confines or anywhere USA. Because I've lived around white females with their dog obsession. You go and tell them your dog's barking all day and it disturbs me. They don't give a shit. I don't want to be around white women. The only thing that white women seem to do well at is porn. No offense. They look good fucking each other. They don't look good with men because they don't know how to fuck. But boy, they sure come alive when they're involved with another female. They're both just as self-centered and narcissistic. It makes sense for them to be into women. I'm tired of fake veneer, plastic, too much makeup. Look at The View. Talk about a toilet bowl TV show. Joy Behar. And let's talk about physique. Here comes Whoopi. Oh, you need to make these doorways wider for me. Really? And she's going to say dumbass stuff that what Hitler did to the Jews wasn't racism. Let one black person be shot by the cops. Automatically racism. The 6 million Jews singled out by Hitler is not racism. Why are you listening to American women? Point made. Kamala Harris can't form a coherent sentence. She talks in child-directed speech. Look at Ding Dong. More substance in her tits than in her brain. Good old AOC. Up there yelling and screaming about all kinds of things. She knows not a damn thing. She believes spherical heating is the biggest issue. No, your people are the biggest issue. You've killed 61 million people in the name of abortion. That's more than Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, and Lenin combined. Shut the fuck up. Why are we listening to these Christian insipid women in a middle-class church in America? They don't experience discomfort, but let one of them get breast cancer and everybody's whining and moaning and, oh, it's so sad, it's so sad. Oh, now you got some suffering and now we're all supposed to cry for you. But when I suffer every day as a man, when I'm rejected, maligned, and ignored, and I'm laughed at because I don't fit in, you guys in the Christian church don't give a shit. Man, be an individual, man. Be an individual. Don't go rocking the boat and make, ruffle the tea cards, but be who you are. And if they judge you, look at them and smile and say, have a nice day, Felicia. I got to stand before God, and it's not looking pretty when I do. But guess what? They got to stand before God, and it's going to be fun. I really want to be a fly on the wall when God gives an assessment of them. You think God's going to get down to their level and say, I really like your poofy pillows and your comfort and all your books, your seminars are so good, girl. You think God's going to do that? Guess what the good news is? He's going to look at them and say, yeah, you live for you. Okay, so all your little works here you think was ministry is going to be burned up. Wood, hay, and stubble. There will be some gemstones on my foundation. There will be some wood, hay, and stubble. In fact, there will be quite a bit of wood, hay, and stubble. It'll go up like a damn straw house in the California Santa Ana winds fire. Wow, that's gone quick. Stop being judged by ridiculous Caucasian women in a church setting. If there isn't a pastor out there that doesn't have the balls to address this OCD pet culture, he doesn't belong in the ministry. If there's not a pastor who doesn't have the balls to address the narcissism, the materialism, and the smugness and the attitudes of women who think that they're being godly, they're not confronting the women in our culture. If you don't believe me, go out there and get involved with these women and tell me what you see. Immaturity, denial, rudeness. They don't care about you. And now they're all in charge in our workplace, and they're fucking up big time. Every one of these Democrat women in Washington are a joke. Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, a white woman, had her head pulled out of her ass and saw what the fuck that party was doing. That shocks the hell out of me. That shit is rare. But the hardest people to reach in this country are not just the Democrats, but evangelical Christians that think that every damn thing they do is of God. Their materialism, their little shit that they write, their little ministry, their little, please. It's amazing how Christians can be the most deceived people in this country. They'll judge the hell out of me. Oh, he admitted to looking at porn. He admitted he's been divorced. Oh, my God. Yeah, write me off because it's convenient for you. Is that what God wants? Is that what he does? Does God take your assessment of me and say, oh, I'm done with Michael. That's it? No. Praise be to his name. I've already reached more people than Beth Moore ever has. Men and women that have messaged me. How about the woman in Sweden? I decided to leave my job, Pacific. And all the females made fun of me. I said, no, I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to raise my child the right way, God's way. Wow, how can you do that? That's insulting. You should pursue your career. I said, thank you for writing me that, ma'am. God will bless you for doing what you're supposed to do. Don't listen to these people. Is Beth Moore reaching that girl? Nah. Sweden. Not a bunch of silly little fluffy, puffy girls in the U.S. They're going to have to start sending missionaries from Africa and the Philippines and Vietnam and Korea to us because we're losing it over here. Man, you got a city council in Denver that homeless can shit and piss on the sidewalk and not be taken in for it. But if a man walks out of a bar in Lodo, this is the truth, and pisses on the wall at 2 o'clock in the morning and a cop sees it, oh, registered sex offender goes to jail. Isn't that something? And whenever you see this kind of ridiculous bullshit, do you know who's behind it? Women. Because real men would not tolerate that. Real men would say, we're not going to let the homeless shit and piss on our public sidewalks. This is downtown. This is not okay. We need to get together and find out what all this homelessness is, what's going on here, and find a way to eliminate this problem. That's what real men do. But instead, we get task force and committees and do studies and waste billions of dollars for somebody to go, well, we found that the reason for the homelessness is they legalized pot. Okay, so now what are you going to do? I love it when CU Boulder decided to have a task force to decide if drivers have gotten worse. Could you pay me the money in the school there as a bus driver? I can tell you it's gotten worse, and I could give you a full report. But you paid a bunch of college geeks to ascertain that. Okay, these are the ones that speed on their way to university and don't know how to drive anyway. I mean, I'm sorry, but America's fucked. And all these Christian women that are hiding in their snow globe culture, and now they're having Easter baskets and Easter egg hunts. A girl's trying to bring me to her church again that's now dominated by a woman. I said, no, I'm not submitting to that. Oh, but it's growing. I said, I'm sure it is. Because men want to buck up under women now instead of men standing up and cowboying up. And I'm not a leader. Okay? I'm not a leader. But I'm not a follower either. When I'm on that microloop, there ain't no boats following me out across that ocean. I'm by myself. When I can't see Long Beach anymore, I'm like, shit, this ocean's pretty damn big. But then Anna Sakuri and I are at night. The sun is set. None of us can sleep because we've had a beautiful day, and we're all sitting near each other at the stern of the boat. And the stars out on the ocean are awesome. And we're just being quiet and communing with God. Quietly, each his own. But we hear this whoosh, jars us all of our senses. We turn and look as this humpback whale, just like the Life of Pi, comes up out of the water. All that plankton's out, all glowing. And you can see the outline of the whale come up. And you're just like, we all look at each other saying, and Anna looks right at Sakuri and says, God did that just for you, Sakuri, because you've lived in your house and he showed you something awesome. And I stand up and stretch and I look out across that ocean. I'm like, wow, God, that was cool. And you would think that I wouldn't want two other ladies with me on a boat. We stayed with Sakuri. She's a damn nice woman. Anna is awesome. I want to be around them. I like having more company on our boat so we all can enjoy together God. And I'm ultimately in charge of that boat. But this is an older woman who's older than me, and I respect her and I treat her with the dignity and poise that she's due. This is something American women have failed to realize, that if you would act right the way the Bible tells you instead of following this poof-off Christian culture, men would change. But instead, we got an extremism macho complex. Oh, no, man, you're talking about my life. Oh, you're such a man. Put out your peacock feathers. Do it. Poke, poke, poke. Drape your hand over your Toyota Sequoia and speed up real fast to make a point. Asshole. America's breeding assholes. I didn't know assholes could give birth to assholes, but it's happening in this country. Can I admit? I was a pussy all my life. I was a pussy. I grew up being raised by women. And I always wanted my mother's approval. Now I don't give a shit. In fact, just for fun, my parents are still alive and they hear about this. Do you think it made any damn difference in their life? The Pacific is now worldwide news. Survived the greatest storm in history on the Pacific Ocean. It sunk Maersk cargo ships, cruise ships, and fishing vessels and all other boats. Didn't even register a pulse with them. And Jesus said that very same thing. Even if Lazarus rises from the dead and goes back and tells all your relatives, they're not going to believe him. He was saying that to the Pharisees. I'm going to rise from the dead, and these people right here thinking that they're close to God, and they ain't even going to care. Of course I'm marginalized. You know why? The Bible says that God chose the foolish things of this world. Man, I'll raise my hand. Who's the foolish thing in the world? Right here. I got the corner on it. Even in the church, I'm a foolish thing. The Beth Moore crowd, they'll tell you, oh, that guy, I'm a foolish thing. How many people are bragging about that? Oh, I'm a TikTok queen. See my nipples. I even posted one on my Facebook. It's funny, Facebook is a trip. If I post a picture of a beautiful woman with the nipples poking through the shirt, they'll put me in jail. But if you share something from somebody's page that's inappropriate, they won't do anything about it. So I posted one with a young lady just above the nipples, and the nipples are holding the shirt up. Oh, it's sexy. Good masturbatory shit. This is what's circling the globe, folks. I'm in media culture. I've sinned in media culture. I've whacked my butt a few times to quite a few women because you can. Because if you go to church, well, you know, you're not godly, you're divorced, and nobody wants you, and you're supposed to deny your sex drive, deny yourself, put away all the sin, and then go to this church and embrace this shitty culture of this Beth Moore complex of women and go, yeah, okay, I think I'll just go home and look at porn again. I'm done with it. If God is going to do a work, then let him do it and let God break through, because he's already doing it. I am becoming a man. I am standing up. I've stood up to black people and said, your thinking is fucked up. No, I don't fight. I'm not here to think I'm a tough ass, but I'm tough in a different way. Working on this place has done a lot. Facing these badass kids down here is something else. But you know what? I don't got it all together, but neither does anybody else. But that doesn't mean I'm unqualified to talk. Just because I don't make the money Beth Moore does doesn't mean that my message is null and void. The prophets were killed. They were weird. John the Baptist came with camel's hair, eating wild locusts and honey. You think that the Israelites didn't, the religious leaders, you think that they didn't look at him and said, Frank, who's this cat? I don't know, this weirdo out there. Yeah, the weirdo that God spoke through more than the Pharisees. Huh. You know, God knew in eternity that Michael was going to fuck up. And he still chose to save me. Oh, your language is terrible. It is. But it's the best way I can communicate something right now. I'm tired of doing little nice Christian things because I tried that. I used to dot my I's, cross my T's, go to church Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Even when I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I finally said, man, I've got to get up at 4 in the morning to drive a bus. I'm not going to go to church and not get a good night's sleep. I got children's lives, so. And I listened to Baptists sit there and say, Harold doesn't come on Wednesdays. He must be backslidden. Oh my gosh. Is this really what these people believe? Yeah, it is. And praying the same old stuff. We pray for Aunt Gertie's wart. We pray that her cancer goes away. We pray for her bowels to get restored. We pray, God, we pray for hours and hours that this 90-year-old woman, instead of asking God to just let her go home, we're going to pray that God keeps her alive. And you go to these churches and they look at everything and look at how bad everybody's being out there. Man, if you don't get out and engage this culture, don't expect to reach them. Okay? The kind of kids I deal with are not going to go into a Beth Moore setting and say, oh yeah, this is great. And what we've seen in American Christianity is a cottage industry with fluffy, comfortable, self-righteous Christian women that really there's nothing desirous of them. And they've become this big movement. And they're not doing anything. Why isn't anybody speaking out about that? It needs to. Because they'll say all kinds of shit about me. I don't care. That's stand up to every last one of them and say, fuck you. Well, that's real Christ-like, Mike. It sure isn't. But it's what needs to be said. I'm tired of playing religious games to win the fake, shallow approval of fake, shallow people. And yes, some Christians in America are the flakiest, most superficial shit I've ever seen. Go talk to Christians about their driving. They could care less about that. They think God's not concerned. I've heard it in the Baptist settings. I saw it in the Springs with all his ministry in Colorado Springs. Focus on the family. He's got a house in the Broadmoors. He wants to go on and 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 on. And I listened to Phil Dobson. I got some good stuff from him. But he's also lopsided. His program catered to middle-class white women. Always talking about what the man does wrong, that a son needs his father. Dobson never had me on his show talking about a domineering mother and the fucked upness I grew up with women. They don't ever talk about that. Why? Because Christian men are simps. That's why, to follow the MGTOW terminology, they want to please the women. If they stood up and spoke about the sins of women, they wouldn't have a ministry, and they know this. So the next time a woman says, you can't judge me, this is what you need to do. Want to bet? Let's go. Bring it on. I'm gonna. What are you going to do about it? You deserve to be judged. You judge us and judge us and judge us. You let the media take over and judge us men. Make fun of us that the man sits in a chair afraid of a bee and the wife goes over, oh, what's the matter? And slaps it. That's a fucking lie. West High School, Denver, Colorado. Mexican boys, Mexican girls. Those girls aren't little pennywaists. They're the kind who'll say, bitch, let's go, and start a fight. I hear all this screaming when they're loading. High schoolers. I said, now what is going on? There's a bee. I said, okay, it's not a bee, it's a wasp. And if it's a bee, it'll leave you alone if you just calm down. Where's the wasp? They're all crowded up, standing on the seats. I have to move around them all. I don't have a route book in my hand. I see it on the window, and I take my hand and go, right there, and drop it. He just hit that with his hand. And when I walk to the front, I turn around and say, all you men, all you boys, you can ask some of these girls out at the homecoming dance, and you're afraid of a dang bee? And the girls start snickering. Yeah, how come? There you go. Put it back where it belongs. Then I go sit down in the seat, start the bus, and say, let's go. I'm sick of these commercials putting us down. I'm not afraid of a wasp. I've dealt with them. I go out there with my shirt off and fuck with a nest underneath because I know what I can and cannot do. I'll grab that plum picker when I was in Colorado and go, hit it like a golf ball and run. And then when I see it in the yard, I run up and punt that thing into the creek. Done. But listen to this pussy culture we're in. Well, you need to suit up. You need to wait at night. You need to spray it. Fuck that. This thing is over the doorway. I'm not waiting till night. I'm getting tired of getting stung every time I go in the house. This bad boy's out of here. Men face shit and they deal with it. And our culture, women don't let us do it. They don't like the way we talk. And Christians do it too. They cock block us. Oh, you cussed. You're not as righteous as me. You talk about fruit of the Spirit, Pacific, but you don't have any. Oh, willing. But Christian women can be bitches and materialists. That's a fruit of the Spirit. But the fruit of the Spirit is a collection of goods for yourself. Inflating your ego. Not listening to us. Why do you think the Bible says God did not permit a woman to teach or have authority over men? Because they're the weaker vessel. Because God created Adam and he created Eve to be the helper of Adam. He didn't create you women to be little narcissists and worry about your damn career and your little SUV and your little comfort zone. But we've allowed those women to take charge and take control, and they're fucking us over up the ass, man. You want to get a date with those women, you got to kiss their ass to do it. Please don't disgrace your manhood like that. Say no to them and walk on. And I'm sick and tired of hearing these churches talk about masturbation. Until you preachers want to talk about why men masturbate and why there's porn and why men are depressed and sick of current women in this culture. Look at white women. They really have a lot to offer, don't they? They can't cook anymore. They don't massage their men's back anymore. I can go to Asia and get a home-cooked meal by an Asian woman, And after we make love, she'll rub my back on her own accord. Name a white woman that'll do that in this culture. Oh, well, men want a wife that's servile. Oh, you don't know Asians, do you? Servile, my ass. You piss them off, they're going to let you know. No. If you want to talk about bitch culture, white culture takes number 1 place. Hispanic takes number 2. Black takes number 3. And Asian takes number 4 in that order. It's safer to date Asian women than it is whites. It's safer to date black women than it is whites and Hispanics. So boom, there you have my breakdown. So, isn't it fun? I just offended everybody today. You got these women that OCD over their dogs. We got a whole $1 billion industry created with PetSmart, PetGo, and what do you do with people like me that aren't into shopping malls, pro sports, SUVs, Starbucks, and the pet obsession? Guess what I just did? I just cut myself off from a large, massive U.S. population of women and any hopes of getting a date. Why are churches doing Easter egg hunts for children? They didn't used to. That's because women won't let go of their idolatry. Women always lead men into idolatry. Always. Solomon had many wives and it divided his heart. I've seen it in my life. I followed a woman in Hong Kong and I compromised quite a bit. We're dumb that way, guys. Admit it. You think Christian women are more holy than you because they attend these conferences? They're going to have Easter egg trees now? Here in this town, city I'm in Georgia, now I'm seeing Easter eggs all over the front yards. Weeks before Easter, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Easter has nothing to do with the resurrection of Jesus. That is a fact. No Christian should be saying Happy Easter to anybody. But guess what? They do it all day, every day. They say Merry Christmas. They shouldn't be doing that. American women. Jesus is the reason for the season. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. Jesus was not born on December 25th. But guess what? You can't tell modern American Christian females that. Modern American Christian women tell us we cannot judge them. They're wrong. We can, we should, and we need to. We need to judge what they're saying. We need to look at the actual truth. You want to worship Christmas trees and do all that stuff, that's your business. But don't tell me it's of God. Do not, for the love of God, tell me that that's even close to Bible and Holy Spirit filled. It's emotionally driven logic. It's showboat culture. Easter baskets. People that can't afford to buy all this crap feel shamed and guilt because holiday and traditions of men. Jesus had something to say about that. You nullify the commandment of God for the sake of your traditions. And guess what? Modern evangelicalism is doing the same thing today, including Baptists. Baptists who are stalwarts doctrinally, but when it comes to Christmas and Easter. Now, Mike, we don't want to be legalistic. This stuff is pagan, Pastor. Well, Mike, well, you know what? I'm done listening to you. You think dancing is a sin. You think playing cards is a sin. You think secular rock music is a sin. Secular rock music that I listen to has more content and meaning than most of today's insipid, cheese whiz, contemporary Christian blended music does. I'll be the judge. of what's right or wrong. You're not going to tell me how to live, Pastor. If I'm doing something in your church that's out of line, you got every right to tell me. But if I'm sitting in there listening to the sermon and I'm on my own business and I walk out, that's none of your concern. What I do when I leave your premises. People would get the feeling I'm against Christianity. No. I'm trying to find what the real definition of it is, and it's not what America's making it out to be. I need to get to work. Yeah, I have problems. I'm dysfunctional. I'm insecure. I'm lustful. I use profanity. But I do my job well. I try to treat people right. And I'm real about me. Women don't want that kind of a man. They want a thug or they want a vending machine. That's it. They don't want me. They want a man. They don't want a man who's going to look a woman in the eye and say, you know what, honey, I love you, but you're full of bullshit today. Could you rethink what you're saying here? They don't want that. They want us to be little soy boys and battle their horse shit. Men, when you keep doing that, you create the problem and keep it going and keep it going. So you're to blame for this. You didn't stand up a long, long time ago, and you should have. You allowed your manhood to be reduced and changed, and guess what? Because our education system is dominated by liberal and feminist women, now we got all these boys that don't know what the hell their sex is. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over men. Do I need to say any more? But watch this. I do that, and women will have a fit. But let a transgender do that, and women all flock to that and think it's cute. Funny thing is I look better being feminine looking than most of today's women. Isn't it fun the way this life is so upside down, twisted, and backwards? But I'm a man. I'm man enough to admit I have a feminine side. Why can't I wear my shirt off the shoulder? Did you see what the Romans and the Greeks did? I like that. I wish I could find shirts this way. I'd go to Home Depot and go out there on my time on that and watch people stare. How come you wear that? Because I wanna. How come you wear that ugly suit and tie? Because I have to. Oh, I wanna versus I have to. You follow everybody's approval rating. I follow what I want, and I set trends. And if I have followers, great. If I don't, great. If I'm sailing the Mike route, does it matter if I have followers out in the middle of the ocean? No, it matters if I know how to guide the boat and God is with me and I'm going to get to my destination. That's where it's at, folks. It doesn't matter what the Beth Moore crowd or the Stanley crowd or the Joel Osteen crowd or the Democrats or the Republicans or anybody thinks about Michael. It matters is if I'm going to get to the port or not. And if I can get the boat to the port with two beautiful ladies on board and God is with me, fuck the rest of the world. Yeah, I got issues. And to all the trolls out there, go find something to fucking do. Go find something to do. Because clearly you don't have well-defined anything. I keep it real. That's all I can do. In the last 3 years being in Georgia has taught me something. I needed to become a man, and I have. And you're going to live a lonely life if you truly become a man. Not defined by male culture, not defined by female American culture. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with my outbursts and my passion. What women don't realize is men like me make damn good lovers. Because the passion I have and what I talk about is the same passion I'm going to go to bed with her with. But women want boring men that they control, to wear the suit and tie and bring home the income and he's got a 2-inch little smoky between his legs, and he bought a truck with a lift kit, but he's a real man that loves Jesus. And yeah, okay. Y'all have fun with that. I've been judged by this entire culture. And people say you're so judgmental. If a child lives with criticism, he'll learn to criticize. If he lives with judgment, he'll learn to judge. But I learned to judge the right way. How's America doing on representing diversity? And it's always about the blacks. It's always about the LGBT. But what about me? I'm diverse. I have a feminine side, but no, I'm not gay. I have a uniqueness. Where's my rights? Why do I have to dress a certain way to go into a church setting? I don't have to. Well, some of these churches have on the sign, come as you are. I wouldn't do it because that's just not what I would do, but I should just walk in naked. Well, you said come as you are. You didn't qualify. Seriously, folks, they really don't want you to come as you are. They want you to come as they are. If you come as they are, you're invited to all the reindeer games, and I'm not Rudolph. I have a red nose, but I'm not Rudolph. And I don't want to be invited to the reindeer games because I don't play with the reindeer. I want to see a humpback whale jump up out of the ocean and go and feel my boat do this. That would be cool stuff. I may never get to do that, but when you cut your path through the sea, don't expect to have a flotilla behind you saying, okay, but you're the one that's got to sail the boat. I would suggest you get God on your boat, or at least get on the boat God wants you on. But don't follow these other crazies because they're headed towards reefs in their own way.